CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hello, good morning. It is 6 o'clock on Friday, May 15th. We've got 10 degrees right now, a few clouds right now, but a few showers. Maybe now even a risk of a thunderstorm later this afternoon. Full forecast to come. But right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. A union representing more than 700 emergency communication professionals in this province say members have voted 95% in favor of strike action while negotiating an essential service orders with their employer. QP 8911 says the results underscores growing concerns about staffing, workload, and long-term sustainability in the 911 system. It says one of the processes to negotiate the essential services order with ECOM is complete. The workers would be in a legal strike position. The vote comes after the union said it would not be able to reach a new contract after months of negotiations with workers seeking higher pay, improved staffing levels, and health supports. ECOM had said it is a top priority to ensure services aren't interrupted and said last month it would bring in the BC Labour Relations Board for mediation. The union says negotiations are set to resume today with the results of the strike vote in hand. One man's been charged after two of a number of suspicious fires in the Port Alberni area. Suspect arrested this week in Coombs after RCMP got word that a man was apparently deliberately setting brush fires in the area. A 38-year-old man has been charged with 2 counts of arson. He remains in custody. Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Calgary today to meet with Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith. Premier David Eby says he did speak with the Prime Minister yesterday about what will be announced around the Memorandum of Understanding that was signed last year, including the proposed oil pipeline to the coast. Eby says BC has 35 projects ready to go, and he hopes that the federal government will start giving them the same consideration.
There's an opportunity for the federal government to work as closely with us on these projects as they work with the government of Alberta on Premier Smith's proposed pipeline, which has yet to have a proponent or a route. And so I'll be advancing that conversation with the Prime Minister, and I'm hopeful we'll be able to get to a place here in British Columbia, level of engagement on those projects.
Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson was at the same event that cleared the way for LNG Canada to advance to final investment decision by the end of the year. Hodgson was asked if Alberta is getting special treatment on major projects.
Well, I couldn't agree more with the Premier. There's a lot to do here. I know the Prime Minister is committed to working with the Premier and everyone in British Columbia to see those projects come to fruition, because a strong BC is a strong Canada.
A source says the two leaders are expected to announce an industrial carbon emission price of $130 per ton by 2040. That's about $40 less than most Canadian jurisdictions. The federal government also announced another $12.4 million for BC's forest sector. Minister of Energy and Natural Resources Tim Hodgson took the helm on that one, saying they have a longer-term plan for the forest sector in light of increased tariff threats.
Last month, I received the task force recommendations on how to restructure, retool, and transform Canada's forest sector for long-term competitiveness and sustainability. We intend to take the advice seriously. It will inform a targeted new national forestry strategy we are developing in partnership with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples, and which I look forward to sharing with Canadians later this year.
$45,000 will go towards a project in Cole Harbour in northern Vancouver Island to integrate Indigenous knowledge with scientific expertise to guide balanced forestry practices. The U.S. president spending his second day in meetings with Chinese president in Beijing, with the majority of their conversations centered around trade. Donald Trump says the war in Iran did come up.
We did discuss Iran. We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We want the straits open. We're closing it now. They closed it, and we closed it on top of them.
On his way back to the U.S. from China, he said they did reach some fantastic trade deals.
The president heaping praise on his host and their, quote, fantastic relationship, calling President Xi a friend. Xi taking a more formal tone. According to Chinese state media, beyond closed doors, Xi delivered a stark warning to the American president. Do not interfere in China's efforts to take over Taiwan. If handled poorly, the two countries will clash or even come into conflict, pushing the entire U.S.-China relationship into a very dangerous situation.
And on a lighter note, Gordy Dodd's One World Festival happens 11 to 6 tomorrow on the BC Legislative Lawns and Belleville Street. There'll be international entertainment, food vendors, local artisans, and bouncy castles for the kids. Parade the bands and epic drum battle goes 11 to 4 Sunday at Mile Zero. Opportunity to see the bands close up before the parade, because that parade involves some 4,000 people. The 126th Victoria Day Parade goes 9 a.m. Sunday morning from Government and Belleville. That's your news to 6:05. Here's CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050? 88% saying yes on our website. You can vote at cfax1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. News time, 6:07.
Thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to the day. Yeah, there's risk of a thunder shower now in the forecast for today. It is exciting weather all of a sudden. So clouds for the start of the day, few showers a little later on in the morning. We could see that risk of a thunder shower in the afternoon hours. It does still clear up in time for the long weekend after that, and we'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. But first, over to the sports. Let's talk first off about the BCHL Rogers Cup Finals, which will now begin tonight. And from the island, we, of course, have the Nanaimo Clippers, who have made it all this way to the end to face the Interior Conference winners, the Brooks Bandits. So game one is tonight in Brooks, Alberta. It's a big travel day for the Nanaimo Clippers, all the way to Alberta for this game one. Also in hockey news, Daniel and Hedrick Sedin, who played every single one of their NHL games for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the Hall of Fame forwards have moved into the franchise's front office, kind of as was expected yesterday. It did come to pass. The Twins were named Vancouver's co-presidents, because, of course, they've got to do it together. Co-presidents of hockey operations. Their former teammate Ryan Johnson was named the Canucks' new general manager. On the ice, the Montreal Canadiens now just one win away from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. The Habs thumped the Sabres 6-3 in Buffalo last night, thanks to 4 unanswered goals after the hosts held a 3-2 lead coming out of the first period. Montreal hosts Game 6 tomorrow night. And Vegas ousted Anaheim from the playoffs with a 5-1 Game 6 win. So it's Vegas that'll go on to play Colorado next in the playoffs. And a little soccer news, a meeting aimed at finding solutions to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver has resulted in a new cooperation between multiple levels of government. Representatives from the Whitecaps and Major League Soccer on one side met with members of the provincial and federal governments, the city of Vancouver, 3 local First Nations, and Pavco, which is the Crown Corporation that runs BC Place. They apparently all met on Wednesday. A joint statement was then issued yesterday saying there was unification in trying to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. We'll see what that produces, and that's your sports to 6:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. The roads look clear right now. No crashes, no accidents. It's another day of paving on Blanchard Street, though. Northbound from Bay to Hillside, this is where they've got to reduce down to one lane from its usual three. Today should be the last day of it, I think. It's done after this, fingers crossed, for next week. For BC Ferry, Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen, the 6 o'clock sailing was your first early morning boat from Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen. It's already gone, so the 7 o'clock sailing is next, and there's still room left there. For the weather, that's where things get a little interesting. So we do have a few showers possible for the late morning. It's dry at the moment, at least where I'm sitting, but a few showers coming a little later this morning, and then it turns into a risk of a thunderstorm later this afternoon. Who knows? Maybe the odd thunderclap will be sounding across Victoria. We'll have highs of 12. Tonight, still that chance of a shower, still that small risk of a thunderstorm into the evening hours. Then tomorrow clears up. We get into a mix of sun and cloud for our Saturday, and it looks like a mix of sun and cloud will be the story right through the Victoria Day long weekend ahead of us. We're kind of cooler today, by the way. I didn't talk about the temperature so much. So today's a high of 12, which is a lot cooler than the last, couple of weeks, really. High of 14 tomorrow, but then it starts to climb back up into those summery temperatures as of Sunday and Monday, with 17 being the high. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that weekend weather forecast. Let's talk about the numbers now, because the opening bells for North American stock markets will be ringing a little later this hour. Let's set up today by looking at how things closed off yesterday with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index ended yesterday in positive territory. Toronto's S&P TSX was up 226 to 34,268. In New York, the Dow Jones was up 370 and the Nasdaq was up 232. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei lost 1,200 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong also fell by 426. Our dollar is trading this morning at 72 and 74 cents US. Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to meet Alberta Premier Danielle Smith in Calgary today. They're expected to announce an agreement on the future of industrial carbon emission pricing in the province. The price of gas continues to hover near historic highs with no sign of dropping. Dan McTagg with Canadians for Affordable Energy says the eye-watering prices are likely to persist through most of the year. And as food prices soar, so too does the popularity of grocery liquidation stores. Charles McGregor with the Ontario-based Stratford outlet says when he opened a retail store last year, the line was out the door. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on CFAX on a Friday morning. Here we are on the eve of the Victoria Day long weekend. It's almost here.
Yes.
And good morning to you, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Ready to party?
We've got so many things this weekend. Of course, the Victoria Day Parade is happening with so much chatter about parades being canceled for communities. This is one that is happening. The Victoria Day Parade will be taking place on Monday morning, starting around 9 in the morning, doing that slightly different route that I think this is the first time it's doing this route.
It's the first time it's doing
it was the
route.
Santa Claus Parade that did a very similar route for the first time last year. Now we're going to see it not going from the Mayfair Mall area all the way down Douglas. This is the one where it'll start around the legislature.
Correct.
It's going to go kind of along the water, kind of along Wharf Street.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the muster point, but we'll have to wait and see, because with Mayfair, they had a big parking lot to work with.
Yeah,
the mall wasn't open at that point. So they had a great muster point where everybody could fit. That's pretty tight around the ledge, but we'll see.
They'll probably line the roads surrounding the legislature, I would assume. But anyways, that's the route. It kind of goes up Wharf Street. It goes up Lower Johnson, then hooks on to Government. We will be talking to the folks who organized the Victoria Day Parade a little later this show to talk to you all about how it's going to unfold, what you need to know.
Yeah. I'm seeing floats around town with tarps over top of them. It's kind of funny because you can see the tarp and the little bit of party underneath with the tinsel and all the fun. So everyone's got their float ready to go, and it's exciting. It's a big one. There's 4,000 people involved in this.
Oh, it's always the big one for Victoria.
I know,
huge.
but it's just to think that really almost a mini city is involved just with the planning of this.
And then I think you mentioned this in the news, but one of the things I always love about the Victoria Day Parade is this is one of the ones that attracts a lot of the marching bands.
Yes.
And they're doing a big practice.
Big sound. Yeah. So the thing about it is if you miss one or if you can't get up close and personal because of crowds during the actual parade, you can check them out. I think it's at Mile Zero off of Dallas, where the Terry Fox statue monument is. And this is 11 to 4 on Sunday.
Doing their warm-up.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a battle of the bands.
Oh, that's cool.
And a warm-up. So that's an interesting place to have it. That's a lot of space to have it. And you can talk to them about their instruments, about the groups. And I think it's a really great idea because in a parade, they're performing, they're on display, and then they're gone. And if you're trying to hunt someone down afterwards to the crowd, forget it. So this is neat to be able to have something secondary for them. And the other thing that's happening where you're going to have big sound, including bagpipes.
Oh, of course. It's the Highland Games.
That's right.
Topaz Park all weekend long.
Yeah.
There's going to be, bagpipes and kilts, but also people throwing large trees around. That's caber toss.
Caber toss.
They're actually doing like a big international championship out of this one too.
A lot of strong women coming in.
Yeah, it's the women's championship for this kind of sport, the heavy games. So there's like an escalation here from the usual Highland Games we host. So that's going to be awesome at Topaz Park this weekend. Of course, there's the Distinguished Gentleman Ride we learned about yesterday on the show, where a bunch of nice-looking men in their suits
and women,
best dress, along with women. Thank you. We'll be riding motorcycles through the streets of Victoria in support of men's physical and mental health. So that's a cool thing. So there's just so many things going on. It's a long weekend.
It's a long weekend. So if
Busy
you're
one.
not going out into the wilderness camping, and of course, campfire ban is lifting.
Yeah.
So be prudent with your fire, even with the moisture we have in the air. There's plenty happening around town, and every community's got something going on because it's the first unofficial long weekend of summer.
It's the way we treat it here. At 6:17, let's get a look at the headlines with Lisa.
Well, let's talk fire. When it comes to campfires, the BC government asking long weekend travelers, of course, to exercise caution. There are several dozen wildfires across the province, currently about 9 categorized as out of control. Still, the province's travelers need to take precautions when using fire, with some form of open fire prohibition in effect for much of BC. Here on the coastal centre, it's category 2 and 3 that are under the ban. 1 is lifting at noon today. That would be your campfire. The reminder comes after, of course, police charged the 38-year-old man in the Coombs area with 2 counts of arson after allegedly he was caught setting brush fires in the Port Alberni area. So province-wide, sort of a snapshot of the BC wildfire status. There's 34 fires burning province-wide. 8 are listed as out of control this hour. 6 new fires started in the last 24 hours. And the good news for us is no new fires on Vancouver Island in the last 24 hours. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta's Premier are expected to introduce an industrial carbon price agreement today in Calgary. A source with knowledge of the discussion said they expected to reveal a plan for Alberta to raise its emission price to $130 per tonne by 2040. Alberta froze its industrial carbon emission price at 95 tonnes per year last year. $95 per tonne, that is, last year. Carbon price plan was one of the several steps agreed to by the two governments in a memorandum of understanding last year in order to build a bitumen pipeline to the West Coast. And of course, the BC government has a lot to say about that, so more on that today moving forward. And people around the world are hopeful about an experimental drug that shows promising results, which can give pancreatic cancer patients more time. It's not approved yet, but more doctors across North America can now use the drug to help eligible patients after the Food and Drug Administration in the U.S. granted it access earlier this month. Dr. Brandon Huff, a medical oncologist at Boston's Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, helped carry out the clinical trial. He says this one-a-day pill actually shrinks the cancer cells. Up until now, they only had chemotherapy to actually treat this form of cancer. That is your news to 619.
Texter at 71010 says, good early morning from Mill Bay, where it's slightly overcast and chilly at 7 degrees. Hope you have a wonderful day,
Nice.
says the texter. And right back at you, texter. Thanks so much for checking in from Mill Bay. We're going to do a full weather forecast in just a moment along with the traffic. And then we're going to learn about something that maybe you've seen if you've been to a Pacific FC game last weekend or this coming weekend. There's this focus on the Canadian Forces. They're doing a special spotlight at the soccer games. And one of the things that's happening is a fundraiser, this ceremonial coin toss thing happening at the Pacific FC games, and it involves coding for veterans.
Okay.
They're, the students enrolled in the program are doing the ceremonial coin toss.
Right.
So what is that, coding for veterans, if
Right.
you've seen it? We're going to meet them and find out more coming up next. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Texter at 71010 brings up a good point. Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. There are at least 2 school districts that have today as a Pro D Day. It's a 4-day weekend for a lot of local school kids. That's a good point. I should know that because my kids are off today. But what it means for traffic is fewer cars going to all the local schools. So that pressure on the morning commute is going to come off. It might end up being a lighter than usual Friday commute. Right now, though, it's early on. Not a lot of volume out of the West Shore into Victoria. No crashes or accidents that I can see. And we do have paving work continuing on Blanchard, northbound Bay to Hillside, squeezing it all down to 1 lane again. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. And in the weather forecast, it's a few showers beginning later this morning. There is a risk of a thunderstorm coming at us then this afternoon and into the evening hours. Highs only hit 12 degrees today, which is a bit cooler than what we've been seeing for the last little while. Lows of 8 overnight. Tomorrow, it clears up, makes a sunny cloud, highs of 14. Sunday, sunny, highs of 17. Victoria Day Monday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 17 degrees. And right now in Victoria, it is 10 at the airport. So we're almost at the high temperature for the day already.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, maybe you saw them doing the ceremonial coin toss at the Pacific FC game last weekend. They're going to do it again for the one that's coming up on Sunday, by the way. Pacific FC in action again on Sunday. They are coding for veterans. The ones doing the coin toss. And if you saw them and you were wondering what's that all about, well, let's meet them. I've got the executive director of coding for veterans on the line, Jeff Musson, joining us. Sir, hello, how are you?
Good. Good morning, Ryan.
Great to get you here. So talk a little bit about the soccer partnership first off.
Yeah, for sure. So Coding for Veterans helps military veterans retrain for jobs in software development, cybersecurity, and next-gen AI. And our partnership with Pacific FC, this is now the second year that we've been involved with them. And really what we're trying to do is build awareness around opportunities, not only for the men and women who are currently serving in the military that want to, learn about IT and what have you, but more importantly, when those that have done serving, what kind of career opportunities are available. And one area, obviously, is in software, cyber, and next-gen AI. So it's really a great way in which to not only get people out to the soccer match, but to also learn a little bit about opportunities in the IT sector.
Is this a military program, or are you guys a nonprofit dealing with this, or who are you?
Yeah, okay. So Coding for Veterans, we retrain military veterans specifically in software, cyber, and next-gen AI. The program's delivered 100% online through the University of Ottawa, and we actually have a number of people on Vancouver Island in our program. And what's really great about it is we launched in 2019 with 5 students, and we now have over 1,000 that have come through the program with over a 70% employment rate. And really, we always like to say you kind of go from serving on the battlefield to now serving in cyberspace.
Now, coming up at the soccer game, the Pacific FC game, there's going to be the ceremonial coin toss, and you got some students doing it. Tell me about their stories.
Yeah, and so a couple of our students will be handling the coin toss. One of them, he is currently posted at CFBS Esquimalt and is a submariner and is taking our program because our program is also approved for current serving members to take it. So he's really looking to change careers, and with our program, he is now going to be working in the cyber area of the Navy. And then our other student, he's a graduate, he's a veteran, he's part of the Invictus Games, and really, in fact, he was our first student that graduated from our program a few years ago. So we really have a tight alumni network, especially on the island.
Oh, cool. So, and this is a fairly new thing, I guess, if you've got some recent grads there who are the first ones to go through it. So that's really cool. And you'll see some of them flipping that coin at the Pacific FC game. With just a few moments left, why is it important to get the word out about coding for veterans?
Yeah, well, what better way to honor the service and sacrifice of someone who served in our military than providing them good job opportunities? And in Canada, there are over 150,000 open IT jobs. So if someone's looking for a career, good-paying jobs, stable employment, what better way in which to find that than transition to a career in Canada's IT sector?
Well, Jeff Musson, Executive Director of Coding for Veterans, thank you so much for telling us all about it. Good luck on the weekend with the coin toss, and good luck to Pacific FC, too. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, we'll take a break. We got the 6:30 news next on CFAX 1070.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 6:30 on this Friday, May 15th. Good morning. Welcome to the day. We have some showers on the way, maybe even a thunder shower by later today. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment, but right now, the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning. Another hurdle cleared in approving one of BC's submissions by the Federal Major Products Office. Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson announced the way has been cleared for LNG Canada's second phase to advance to final investment decision.
In an exciting milestone for the project, the Government of Canada, the Government of British Columbia, and LNG Canada have now agreed upon an enhanced cooperation agreement to advance LNG Canada Phase 2 expansion toward its potential 2026 final investment decision.
Premier David Eby says he's optimistic the project will happen.
When LNG Canada reaches final investment decision before the end of the year, it will be the largest private sector investment in Canadian history.
LNG Phase 1 is the largest at this point. The company earlier this month announced additional private funding to get it to that final investment decision. Alberta politicians have wrapped up a spring legislative sitting that was overshadowed by the separatist movement and the political tensions that rolled in with it. The sitting saw legislation involved everything from public library books to medical assistance in dying, but separatism was what drove the war of words in question period. The government House leader says the United Conservative were focused on the economy, affordability and jobs, while the opposition NDP fixated on separatism. The NDP in Alberta accused the UCP government of continuing to enable the separatist movement. The Carney government is putting emphasis on diplomacy with Persian Gulf countries, seeking not just investment, but also a partnership in fields like technology and defense. University of Ottawa professor Thomas Junot, who specializes in the region, says beyond energy wealth, Gulf countries have made strides in green technology and artificial intelligence.
The UAE has been massively investing in artificial intelligence. The UAE has, and a lot of people struggle to understand this, but investing in green tech. Qatar and Saudi Arabia have also been investing massively to diversify their economy in multiple other sectors. And in some cases, notably AI, notably some of these emerging tech issues, they're actually quite advanced.
Junot says that Canada has a track record of pushing too deep in ties with countries and regions before letting up on as priorities shift, and that engagement needs to be sustained. The U.S. president now headed back to the U.S. after wrapping up his trip to China in a summit meeting with the president of China. ABC News White House chief correspondent Mary Bruce reports from Beijing.
According to Chinese state media, behind closed doors, Xi delivered a stark warning to the American president. Do not interfere in China's efforts to take over Taiwan, threatening if handled improperly, the two countries will clash or even come into conflict. Taiwan is an independent democracy, but China says it belongs to them, threatening to take it by force if necessary.
On his way back from the summit, the U.S. president also spoke about above airports. One, doubling down on the assertion that the U.S. has bested Iran in this latest war.
We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force.
In health news, a sleep expert offering advice on the room temperature you sleep in overnight that will increase your chances of getting better sleep. Sleep specialist Brian Shen with the Cleveland Clinic says setting the temperature between 60 and 67 degrees, of course that would be Fahrenheit, is recommended to help fall asleep and stay that way.
When your body is hot at nighttime, it doesn't sleep well. You're going to be sweating more. You're going to be less comfortable. You're going to be moving around. And your body's core body temperature is supposed to drop down lower and lower to its minimum during your sleep.
He says the best way to avoid caffeine and sugary foods close to bedtime, that will help because both can increase your body temperature and make it harder for you to sleep comfortably. Health experts hopeful for an experimental drug that just shows promising results for pancreatic cancer patients. It's not approved yet, but doctors across the U.S. are using the drug to help enable patients get expanded access early this month. Dr. Brandon Huffman helped carry out the clinical trial. He's based in Boston. He explains how the drug works.
The cancer has these little genetic mutations. They're like little light switches. They're turned on. And the cancer is growing. It's spreading. And this drug, it turns off the lights, shrinking the cancer, helping the patients live better and longer.
We're learning that Drake's father is battling cancer. The rapper revealed that his dad, Dennis Graham, is currently dealing with the diagnosis. Drake revealed this in the lyrics of a new song, the first track on his new album, Iceman. Drake didn't reveal what kind of cancer his 71-year-old father is facing, but fans quickly posting online well wishes. Iceman is one of 3 new albums that Drake is releasing today. That's your news at 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question, we're asking, do you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050? Over 80% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Sebastian. News time, 6:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Man, Risk of a thunderstorm now in the
Right.
forecast.
Listening
That's the
for
thing. Well, it's only a risk. It's not a guarantee.
Okay.
But this afternoon is when that is in play.
Okay. If you hear the thunder,
Yeah.
that's always the exciting part.
That is the exciting part. I actually like it. I think it's because it doesn't happen very often.
It's rare here.
I actually kind of enjoy them for that reason.
We never see them here in the prairies. It's almost every second day.
Yeah.
And other places too.
Yeah.
But not here. And so everyone kind of gets excited when it happens.
Well, a few showers and then that risk of a thunder shower coming at us as the day moves on. But then it clears up in time for the Victoria Day long weekend, and we'll talk all about the full forecast coming up in just a moment. Right now, though, let's take a look at sports. Well, in the NHL last night, the Montreal Canadiens did manage to get that win, pull ahead in the series 3-2 over the Buffalo Sabres. So now they're just one win away from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. Montreal hosts Game 6 tomorrow night. And in the other series that was playing out last night, it concluded with Vegas moving on to play Colorado next. They ousted Anaheim with a 5-1 win in Game 6 last night. Also in hockey in the BCHL, we do have the Rogers Cup Finals beginning tonight. And from the island, the Nanaimo Clippers emerged on one side to face the Interior Conference winners, the Brooks Bandits. So yeah, tonight's game all the way in Brooks, Alberta for the beginning of the final. And we learned that, as expected, Hendrik and Daniel Sedin, the Sedin twins, are going to be moving into the front office of the Vancouver Canucks franchise. The twins were named Vancouver's co-presidents of hockey operations yesterday, while their former teammate Ryan Johnson was named the Canucks' new general manager. That's your CFAX Sports to 6:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 6:40 now on this Friday morning. It's possibly going to be a lighter than usual commute for a few reasons. It is the Friday before a long weekend, and that could just mean more people are off. It's Flex Friday. Maybe some people are taking some days off. Or maybe it's the fact that it's a Pro D day for a lot of our local schools. So many school kids won't be commuting to and from the schools either. So, yeah, could be a lighter day. I'm not seeing any crashes or accidents right now. We still have paving work on Blanchard, northbound Bay to Hillside. That will continue today. Fingers crossed, should be, at least this stage of it should be over by next week. This bit where they've got the northbound closure, or I guess not full closure, but restriction down to one lane, which is what we're seeing there. For the weather forecast, we've got a cloudy day, chance of showers with us, turning into probably some actual showers by later this morning. Then we see a risk of a thunderstorm this afternoon, highs of 12, so a little cooler today as well than the last few days. Then tonight we see that risk of a thunderstorm kind of carrying on. Lows down to 8 degrees before it all clears up. And by tomorrow, we get into a mix of sun and cloud. Could be a bit windy in that transition day tomorrow. Highs of 14. Sunshine for Sunday. Sunshine for Holiday Monday, Victoria Day Monday, with highs of 17 as well on Monday. And it looks like it kind of carries on like that into next week as well. Fairly stable once we get through this unsettled last day here. Opening bells just ringing for North American stock markets, so let's take a look at how things closed off yesterday. Gains for the most part. S&P TSX up 226 to 34,268. The Dow in New York up 370 to 50,063. The Nasdaq up 232 to 26,635. Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents US, which is down just a fraction from yesterday's close. And we've got the barrel of oil at $103.84 US, which is up $2, or was up $2.67. We'll see how things play out today.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 texture at 71010 says, Happy Friday, Ryan and Lisa. It's 8.6 degrees at Prospect Lake, but I'm exceedingly pleased with the damper weather right now. I finished planting the garden yesterday. Seeds don't care about sunshine right away. I'm just wondering how many other Victorians also make sure their plant gardens are in around the Victoria Day long weekend. That is from listener Chris.
That makes sense. This weekend is usually historically across Canada the weekend to put plants in the ground where you feel the fear of frost has passed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things is that fear of frost. And I've also heard that when overnight low temperatures are consistently around 10 degrees or better, that's kind of what you want to look for. I don't know if
that's
I'm exactly
growing
right.
Weather.
Yeah.
Plants like not a little bit of chill. That's why they keep in, the greenhouses or in their flower shops, they keep a lot of flowers in the refrigerator, because it keeps them fresher.
Yeah, and then once it gets to be those warmer temperatures in the soil, it's go time. And the weeds in my garden certainly are feeling that right now. I don't know about the plants I'm planting, but everything's going.
Have you planted anything yet?
Oh, we've got some flowers going.
Okay. It went plural there, so who did the planting?
My wife and I do.
Together?
Take turns being enthusiastic about gardening.
Okay, that's fair.
Right
you
now,
feed off each other.
It's her thing at the moment. But I've got this little vegetable garden that I've neglected and I have not done much with. But you know what I grow a lot of?
What?
Is herbs.
Oh, good for you.
Big herb guy.
Nice.
'Cause I like cooking, and it's just lovely to have fresh herbs around, and they're expensive to buy fresh at the store.
Yeah.
So that tends to be the thing I do a lot of. So I do have some basil going indoors. I might move that outdoors once again. It starts to get consistently warmer. So.
Do you grow tarragon?
Oh, I don't, but I like tarragon.
Me too. That one's always been a hard win for me. It's a very delicate plant, at least in my hands. And I haven't had any luck. So if anybody's got luck on tarragon, I know we're going right down the weed path.
Oh, yes.
But,
the herb path.
The herb path, yeah. But it is something that I adore. And it's very expensive to buy most of these herbs. A bit of sticker shock when you're in the grocery store and you're paying $10 for a small little package of herbs. So if you can grow it yourself and dry it, you're ahead of the game.
Do you know what I started watching? Since we're just off into the weeds, I'm just going here.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were talking about that garden show called This Is a Garden Show with Zach Galifianakis?
Yes, Up Island.
Yeah, and he apparently lives on
Gulf Island.
Denman Island, did we decide?
Nice.
One of the Gulf Islands.
Yeah.
He's never quite confirmed it, but I think people have pretty much identified that it's either Denman or Hornby. Anyway, so he's from movies like The Hangover, the Between Two Ferns series.
Hilarious.
He's a funny comedian guy, and he lives here, which is cool. And he did this garden series on Netflix called This Is a Garden Show. And I've watched the first few episodes. I started watching it. They're really small. They're these little bite-sized shows, which I love. It's like a little 15-minute kind of treat rather than having to commit to something.
Oh, interesting.
And the background is often very much Vancouver Island. They never specifically say this is this place, but if you look at it, it's
you
just
recognize it.
Yeah, you feel like you're on a Gulf Island for sure.
It's
really
cool. Billboards that give it away.
Yeah, and then every once in a while it's California because why not? I mean, he does travel around in the show a little bit.
Okay, so it includes that in there.
Yeah.
But it's really great, though, that he's basing it here. I mean, why not? It's stunningly gorgeous here and great growing, but I would have never pegged him as a gardener.
Yeah, and I guess he is. And each episode sort of focuses in on something. Like one episode was apples, for instance, and then they just talk about growing apples and how crazy it is that apples are all grafted and all that kind of stuff.
That's true, actually. And it's not like what Fiona feeds us every week.
Yeah. Listen to our gardening chat on Mondays.
We won't have it this Monday, though, right?
This Monday is Victoria Day Monday, so we're going to be doing special programming. It's not going to be the normal show. It's going to be some looking back at our top interviews from the last few weeks.
So Fiona back next Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Listeners are checking in with herbs. So this texter at 71010 says, rosemary, thyme, and chives grow well here.
Correct.
I love the fact that my rosemary just stays all year round and I don't have to replant it. It's basically just like a bush now. It just lives in my garden. So I definitely agree with you about rosemary. Another texter at 71010 says, what's the trick with basil? I can't get it to live. Well, I have to really start it indoors, I find. And I find the other thing is if you use a pot that's not plastic, it's kind of like a ceramic pot.
Yeah.
It holds the heat a little better too. It seems to like that more.
Okay, that's good advice.
Whenever I use a ceramic pot versus a plastic one, I have more success. And I never put them right in the ground outside because I find, just like the texture, I can't get them to go. Just like you said.
Well,
I
and
have
also
trouble.
like rosemary grows like a weed here.
Yes, so that one I love.
It's a bush, but I think basil only likes part sun too, right? I think
it likes a lot of sun.
Does it like full sun?
I think
Mine
so.
always died in full sun, so I don't know. It could have been a water problem. Maybe there wasn't enough going in.
Yeah.
You know, you learn by the mistakes you make.
And then this texter says, back to that show I was reviewing, texter says, it's a decent show, not sure if I like the children's interviews. I get you, but so he's doing, Zach Galifianakis has this sort of bit where he is awkward, and then that's the funny thing. So there's lots of these interviews where he interviews kids and he's just weird, and then the kids are kind of like think he's strange, and the comedy is in that interaction. But I could definitely see how that's not everybody's cup of tea.
No, he had that with Between Two Ferns, which worked really well with adults and his peers, basically, because he was interviewing other actors. But in the case of children,
I think it works because
do you?
Yeah, because
Okay.
the kids just call it out, which is funny.
I got some advice on my tarragon.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a break for our news, and
Do
then we'll come
something else.
back. We're just now diving into the garden. This is great, and also it's almost the anniversary of the Mount St. Helens explosion.
Oh, wow!
I want to talk about that too. So hang on, that's coming up. But it's already 6:49. Maybe we should get to the news.
Counting, really?
Okay. Yeah. No. It's a Friday before a long weekend.
Let's stay in the grocery store since we're talking about food. With food inflation continuing to climb, more Canadians turning to grocery liquidation stores to keep food costs in check. And all that is swelling demand, driving the expansion of liquidation grocery stores right across this country. Unlike the typical grocery stores, liquidation supermarkets buy overstocked or slightly defective inventory from large-scale manufacturers or wholesales at a discount and then sell it to consumers, of course, as lower prices, something we're very familiar with, especially if you're shopping a deal. Looking for a new car or a used car or just a car in general that you can afford? Well, a new report from CFAX Canada found that last year alone, well over 20,000 vehicles were flagged at having rolled back odometers in their vehicle history reports. The company suspects the actual number may be quite higher. CFAX Canada VP Mike Foster explains that anyone can buy a tool off Amazon, roll back the odometer. It doesn't protect anyone. However, the odometer isn't the only thing that records a vehicle's mileage. Several newer cars have a black box and various electronic modules that can actually record kilometers as well. A mechanic with a scan tool can find that true mileage for you easily. So there's a tool to put in your toolbox if you're shopping. To avoid falling victim to odometer tampering, CFAX advises purchasing the vehicle's information package and the history report as well. It's also recommended to review the seller's ID to ensure that the lawful owner of the car. Ask for the service records and have the vehicle inspected by a mechanic before you do the final deal. According to the latest annual report from the Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council, over 2,300 dealers, salespeople, and curbside sellers were charged with various offenses last year, resulting in a combined $1.9 million in fines. So, buyer beware in this case. And that goes for the travel industry, too. Insiders worried about the future of cruises with the pair of recent high-profile outbreaks. Dalhousie University tourism expert Lauren Sheehan says cruises were able to bounce back after the pandemic. He expects the same will be true in the case of the recent hantavirus outbreak on the Antarctic adventure-bound cruise. Sheehan says the growth of the cruise tourism outpaces the sector as a whole, as travelers appreciate cruises for their convenience and luxury. That's your news to 6:51.
Our listeners love growing herbs. I love this. We're getting so many texts, so let's get back to this in just a moment. And then I also want to play for you this little piece of CFAX history we have in audio form, and I love bringing this out. Monday's going to be the anniversary of the Mount St. Helens eruption that happened in 1980. And since we're not going to be live with you on Monday, I wanted to use this excuse today to play for you the moment that we captured live on the radio when the eruption happened.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. No major crashes, accidents, or problems right now out there on the roads. No sailing waits either at BC Ferries, so it's a great start to the day. For the weather, it's kind of exciting because we've got some rain coming at us for later this morning, and then by later this afternoon, there's a risk of a thunder shower. Then that's all gone by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The whole long weekend after today looks like the sun comes out, and it gradually warms up. Starts with a high of 12 today, but by Monday, a high of 17 as we kind of ramp up heading towards and through this long weekend.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Texter at 71010 says, hey, could you replay that Mount St. Helens explosion? Yes, I haven't done it yet. It's still coming. Don't worry. We're going to do that in just a moment. But I wanted to talk a bit more about herbs because we just mentioned gardening, and then listeners are really getting on board with their herb tips. So this is great. Texter at 71010 says that basil grows like a bad weed in my arrow garden. So does thyme, oregano, and lettuce. That's a little hydroponic thing, isn't it? That you have indoors and has the
right.
lights and everything.
Right. Okay.
So that makes sense. And actually, that's
like a bad weed.
That's not a bad
I call that lucky.
idea. If you have trouble with outdoors, why not bring it indoors?
Or if you don't have space. Some people don't have space for a garden.
Yeah, exactly. This texter at 71010 is jumping on your tarragon bandwagon, yes. Lisa. Lisa, I have been pretty lucky with my tarragon. It sits in a pot on the hot side of the house all summer, and it seems to survive the winters as well. As long as it's sheltered, It's one of my favorites, says this texter.
Well, try it indoor. I've always put it outdoor, and maybe I'll just put it in the window in the living room and see what it does there, because I've never grown the herbs indoor. I've always you go outside and you try to live, and it gets expensive. So maybe I'll start growing a whole bunch indoors. That's what Fiona had suggested anyway.
Fiona, our gardening guru, who will join us not this Monday but next Monday as we take a weekend Monday off. This texter at 71010 says, I've had success growing basil in a dark colored pot. I just need to remember to trim it because it grows bushy rather than spindly otherwise. And that comes from...
You have to trim, yeah.
It's signed Josh Sans Jade.
I wonder who that is.
So if you are truly Josh Sans Jade, good morning to you, Josh.
Yes.
from the afternoons here
He's
at
up
CFAX
early.
1070. Okay, so without further ado, because I don't want to run out of time, we're going to get to Mount St. Helens. But thank you so much for the tips on herb gardening. I love that this happened. We didn't plan for this to be a thing, but those are already great tips. So, Mount St. Helens, it'll be this Monday, which is the Victoria Day Monday. That's the anniversary of this happening. It was the year 1980 that Mount St. Helens erupted.
Amazing.
In just that violent explosion that took place. Now, Mount St. Helens, of course, is in Washington State.
Far enough away, but not really.
The blast left a massive horseshoe-shaped crater 1 mile wide, 2 meters long, and it was heard far and wide, including right here in Victoria, where we at CFAX 1070 were broadcasting, and it happened to just be this live moment where the guy who was on the radio at the time, his name is Johnny Z, was just reading about some community events. And this is at the time where CFAX's studio was in, it's called the Central Building, right downtown.
Okay.
It's kind of off Broad and View Street.
Okay.
And if you can, this is important because if you imagine that space, there's a lot of tall buildings around, so there's a lot of sound reverberating off of
Right,
things,
the
off of
echo.
the other buildings. There's seagulls going around. Here's what it sounds like.
2 of a three-day equestrian horse show. What's that? I think the Marauders are already at it. Yes. Day 2 of a 3-day equestrian horse show at the Saanich Fairgrounds. I hope those are the Marauders. The annual Citrus Cannon Shoot, now an international event at Ships Point Wharf on the harbor, followed by a costume parade from there to
Oh, he just
Market Square
carries on. I
for
love
more
this.
events.
Now, I'll play it again. You got to.
But you hear his voice get nervous.
He sounds so nervous,
Yeah.
He's like, what is
What is
happening?
that?
I got to be professional to keep reading this thing about community events, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So listen one more time. You hear the sound of the explosion, then you're hearing the echoes.
Okay.
And then you hear a seagull hit the window.
Oh, that's
So,
what that is.
Yeah, listen again and see if you can pick up on all those things. Here we go.
2 of a three-day equestrian horse show. What's that? I think the Marauders are already at it. Yes. Day 2 of a 3-day equestrian horse show at the Saanich Fairgrounds. I hope those are the Marauders. The annual Citrus Cannon Shoot, now an international event at Ships Point Wharf on the harbor, followed by a costume parade from there to Market Square for more events.
Anyways, there's a little bit of CFAX history.
Wow.
It
57 people died in that
Yeah.
blast, and some have never been recovered.
That was May 18th, the year 1980, which for us will be a Monday. So I wanted to play it today just to get ahead of it since it's going to happen on the anniversary on the Victoria Day Monday.
That far away, and we heard it here.
I know. And there was ash and everything falling here,
That's
too.
right.
Yeah. This was before my time, but I've heard the stories. Let's get to the 7 o'clock news on CFAX 1070. Lisa's got your top stories of the day. We got your traffic and weather, which is getting a little exciting with this risk of a thunderstorm coming at us. It's all next.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7:02 on this Friday, May 15th. A little late for the news, so let's just turn it over to Lisa. Top stories of the day.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning. Much focus on the city of Calgary today. That's where the Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier will meet to talk about carbon pricing and the proposed oil pipeline to the BC coast. Premier David Eby says he spoke with Mark Carney previously about the announcement.
I had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister this afternoon about his MOU with Alberta's Premier. I am hopeful to be able to meet with him again next week to follow up. We're reviewing the details the Prime Minister has provided about what's in the MOU in terms of implications for British Columbia, the most significant of which relate to the carbon tax. And we'll be able to speak a little bit more comprehensively to it at that point.
Eby says he would like to see the federal government work as hard on BC major projects as they do on Alberta's proposal. The CEO of LNG Canada, Chris Cooper, talked about the partnership that was established in Phase 1 as on the Canada LNG project.
Phase 1 moved forward because governments, Indigenous partners, local communities and investors aligned around both the importance of the project and the path to deliver it. Today's cooperation announcement signals that same shared confidence. Confidence in the opportunity before us and confidence in our ability to deliver a proposed Phase 2 expansion responsibly and successfully together.
A joint federal and provincial announcement yesterday on moving forward on Phase 2 of the LNG Canada project. The agreement follows a decision on May 1st by LNG Canada joint venture participants to approve hundreds of millions of dollars in incremental funding to help finalize critical work, scopes to achieve a potential decision by the end of the year. A Trump administration official suddenly visiting Havana, Cuba this week, putting pressure on the nation island.
CIA Director John Radcliffe heading down to the island with a message to tell the Cuban government to stop being what a senior CIA official called a national security threat. Radcliffe telling the Cubans they need to stop allowing adversaries like China and Russia unfettered access to the island. The Cubans, for their part, acknowledging publicly the meeting took place and saying they told the CIA they pose no such threat.
And French actor and singer Claudine Longet has died.
French actor and singer Claudine Longet has died at age 84. Longet appeared in numerous TV shows and at one time was married to entertainer Andy Williams, but she was probably best known for the March 1976 shooting death of boyfriend and Olympic skier Spider Savage. Longet said that Savage was showing her a pistol when it fired accidentally into his abdomen, killing him. Her trial attracted worldwide attention and a jury convicted her of negligent homicide. She was given 30 days behind bars and probation. As part of a settlement with Savage's family, she agreed to never discuss Savage or her trial. I'm Donna Warder.
People around the world hopeful of an experimental drug that has showed promising results in the fight against pancreatic cancer, or at least giving cancer patients more time. It's not approved yet in North America, but more doctors are using the drug to help eligible patients after the Food and Drug Administration, at least in the U.S., granted expanded access early this month. Dr. Brandon Huffman, a medical oncologist in Boston, helped carry out the clinical trial. He says this drug could replace chemotherapy as a treatment.
It's a targeted therapy, and the early trial data that were just published in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that it's well tolerated. It's a once-a-day pill, and it really works.
Good news in the cancer front. That's your news to 7:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking, do you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050? Over 80% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also in the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time, 7:07.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. Welcome to the day. It is going to be eventually a little wet. We got some rain on the way for Victoria, and then even a risk of a thunderstorm. No guarantee, but there is a possibility. The weather conditions are coming together in that way. Maybe the odd thunderclap could be with us later this afternoon and into the evening. A full weather forecast to come. Right now, though, let's hit the CFAX 1070 sports. Lots to talk about. So, first off, in the NHL, Montreal Canadiens are now just one win away from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. The Habs thumping the Sabres 6-3 in Buffalo last night, thanks to four unanswered goals from the hosts, which held a 3-2 lead in the first period. Or I should say, the hosts held a 3-2 lead coming out of the first period, the host Buffalo, and then four unanswered goals from Montreal launched them to that 6-3 win. That's what I meant to say. Montreal hosting Game 6 tomorrow night. And Vegas ousted Anaheim with a 5-1 Game 6 win and will play Colorado next as they move on. Daniel and Henrik Sedin returning to Vancouver officially. This was the rumor, and it was confirmed yesterday. They will be co-presidents of hockey operations for the Vancouver Canucks. They played every single one of their NHL games for the Canucks. Now they're going to be in the back, along with former teammate Ryan Johnson, who was named the Canucks' new general manager. For the world of soccer, there's been a meeting aimed at finding solutions to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. That's resulted in a new cooperation between multiple levels of government. We saw representatives from the Whitecaps and the MLS, Major League Soccer, meet with the provincial government, federal government, City of Vancouver, 3 local First Nations, and Pavco, which is the Crown Corporation that owns BC Place. They all met on Wednesday, apparently, and a joint statement came out of this issued yesterday saying there was unification in trying to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. That's your sports to 7:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. I'm predicting an easier commute today than some days because not only is Friday often lighter traffic volume, probably due to Flex Fridays for government office workers and all that stuff, but it's also today a Pro D Day here on the Friday before a long weekend. So I bet you fewer people commuting today, fewer students commuting, all of that. Right now it is looking very light out there. It's usually once we get into the 7 o'clock hour that we're kind of in the peak commute from the West Shore to Victoria. And right now there's nothing out there. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. But things are looking clear as a bell. There's not much in the way of traffic volume right now. Paving work continues. Blanchard northbound, Bay to Hillside. Watch out for obstructions there. Again, today it's been all this week. It's going to, I think, lighten up a little bit next week, or at least change up as that road work moves into a new phase next week. And for the weather forecast, we've got this cloudy start, a few showers later this morning, a risk of a thunderstorm later this afternoon and into the evening hours. Highs of 12 today, lows of 8 overnight, and then tomorrow a mix of sun and cloud. It's a bit blustery. It's kind of one of those days where you get the weather pattern changing and there's a bit of wind kind of blowing things around. That's tomorrow, highs of 14. But then it's clearing up with more sunshine for Sunday and Monday. Temperatures up to about 17 degrees for Sunday and Victoria Day holiday Monday. Right now, the temperatures around the region, well, we're going to get to a high of 12 today. It's about 9 right now. Taking a look at the markets, how are things opening up? Oh, actually, breaking news, it's raining. Lisa, you just went and looked out the window.
It's stormy.
Okay, so I was saying...
It's coming in laterally.
I was saying showers were coming.
Yeah,
well,
I saw that.
I guess now showers are here.
Yeah.
At least in Esquimalt.
Yeah, it's hitting the window, so...
Okay. Thank you for checking the window for me.
When you want to know the weather, truly know the weather, stick your head out the window.
Well, I am watching. So I have this tree outside the window that I can see, and it is doing a crazy dance right now.
Yeah, it's nasty out there.
It's blowing. It's raining. The weather is here. But hey, no, we're doing the markets right now. S&P TSX down 514 to 33,753. The Dow is down 425 to 49,637. The Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents US, which is down just a fraction of a cent from the close yesterday. The barrel of oil up a little bit, up $3 actually over yesterday to $104.20.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
And we love it when you join the conversation at 71010. Texter here saying, hey, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. Could you please mention the Junior A Shamrocks begin their season tomorrow at the Q Center when they host the Port Coquitlam Saints. 3:30 is the game time. Thank you very much, Texter. That's a great thing to mention. We're getting into lacrosse season.
Exciting.
I'm excited for a lacrosse season to be here.
Wonderful sport.
Another texter here at 71010 reacting to the fact that just before the 7 o'clock news, if you're just joining us, we were mentioning the fact that this coming Monday, Victoria Day, May 18th, is the anniversary of the Mount St. Helens eruption.
Is it 46 years?
Yeah, because it was 1980 that happened. It was heard all across the greater Victoria area. We got covered in ash. Anyways, listeners are now sharing their stories and memories of that moment. This texter says, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. Where is it? This one. Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I was actually at a camp out in Sydney and heading for breakfast and heard it. Had no clue what it was. And this texter says, good morning and happy Friday. My husband lived in southern Alberta in the community of Tabor back when Mount St. Helens erupted. And he talks about how the area around Tabor was covered in ash. It was quite a mess. It's amazing how far the debris traveled from this significant event. Thank you for sharing those memories.
I've never been to the site, but I've flown over it.
Oh, and you can see it, right?
And thankfully the pilot said, if you look out your window, if you're on the left-hand side of the plane, Mount St. Helens below you. And it looked like lunar landscape at the time. I was flying, I think, LA to Vancouver at the time, and I couldn't believe the devastation from the air. And this was decades afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's wild. It was just a massive event. And as we know, we have audio from the CFAX studios of it actually happening. So
you hear the boom, how loud it was.
We should play that again sometime coming up.
Yeah, maybe later in the show we'll dig that up again. Right now, though, it's 7:15. And here's Lisa with the headlines.
A union representing more than 700 emergency communication professionals in this province say members have now voted 95% in favor of strike action while negotiating an essential service order with their employer. QP 8911 says the results underscore growing concerns about staffing, workload, and long-term sustainability within the 911 system. It says once the process to negotiate the essential service order with ECOM is complete, the workers will be in a legal strike position. The vote comes after the union said it would not be able to reach a new contract after months of trying to hammer out a new negotiation, with workers seeking higher pay, improving staffing levels, and health support. ECOM has said its top priority is ensuring services aren't interrupted and said last month it would bring in the BC Labour Relation Board for mediation. The union says negotiations set to resume today with the results of that strike vote now in hand. The Supreme Court of Canada recognizing intimate partner violence as a distinct legal basis for pursuing civil damages. The top court's ruling today comes as the case of a woman who suffered years of physical and emotional abuse by her husband during a 16-year marriage. The court says intimate partner violence is a pernicious social ill deserving the full attention of the law. And lots of festivals and lots of fun happening locally this weekend. Gordy Dodd's One World Festival goes 11 to 6 tomorrow on the lawn of the BC Legislature in Belleville Street. There will be international entertainment, culture, food vendors, local artisans, face painting for the kids, a Parade of Bands and the epic drum battle goes 11 to 4 Sunday at Mile Zero. You can get up and close, personal with the bands before you actually see them in the parade. The parade, involving some 4,000 people, is the 126th Victoria Day Parade. It starts 9 a.m. Sunday from a different location this year, from Government and Belleville. And that's your news to 717.
Victoria City Council meeting yesterday, and a lot of issues to do with heat coming up, whether it was cooling the apartments of renters, whether it was trying to change up how we deal with heat events as far as things like those cooling centers the city has been holding whenever it gets really hot. They're deciding that maybe there's a better way to try to help out during heat events. So let's get into all of this. The Mayor of Victoria joining us next with a rundown on how things went yesterday. CFAX Morning Show. It's brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Traffic and weather, it is pretty clear out there on the roads. No crashes, no accidents to report. The thing to report is weather. We've got the wind and the rain now hitting a lot of Greater Victoria. We are expecting showers to be with us on and off today, and by the afternoon, it's even a risk of a thunder shower. High temperatures only to top out around 12 degrees. It's going to be the coolest day we've seen in a little while. We're right now around 9 degrees, but it all clears up starting tomorrow. And the rest of the long weekend looks a little clearer after today's bout of weather that we're experiencing. So Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, highs of 14. Sunday, sunshine, highs of 17. And for Victoria Day Monday, when the parade is going to be making its way from the legislature area up Wharf Street, and then over Johnson, then over onto Government Street, the new route. It's going to be a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 17 degrees that day.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Mayor of Victoria joining us on the line right now. Marion Alto is here. Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning.
It was a busy day at Victoria City Council yesterday, and there was quite a few items that all came under the umbrella of heat. There was quite a few.
Yes, that's true.
It's sort of funny. It's the coolest day so far of the month, it seems like today. But hey, it's going to get warmer again, and it might even keep getting dangerously warm at some points of the summer. And that's why a number of different heat-related topics were on the docket. Things like, and we talked about this leading up to yesterday, the attempt to look into making it easier for renters to cool their units, or at least have a landlord responsible for cooling the units. I mean, all of those things were being explored. What we do about cooling centers during heat waves was also being discussed. So you had all these things. Where do you want to start? Let's run down how this all went.
That's a good start that you've laid out right now. Why don't we start with the motion itself, because that has the most specifics in it. And so, as you pointed out, and folks will know if they were following along, there was a fairly lengthy discussion yesterday about what role a municipality can have in trying to provide guidelines or even regulations through bylaw in the requirements to have at least one room in a particular home, whether it's an apartment, a condo, a home, whatever. And yesterday we were talking specifically about apartments that would be able to have some temperature controls, and that would be to ensure that that room could be kept below 26 degrees Celsius. And I think it's important to note that this is tying back, of course, to our experience a few years ago in 2021 during that terrible heat dome throughout British Columbia and Western Canada, where so many people passed away, primarily inside their homes because they didn't have a way to cool a particular area and they didn't have access to another cooling area, even if there was one in their apartment building or nearby. So yesterday we had a fairly thoughtful discussion about what role the city can have, what's practical to achieve, and how we do this in a way which doesn't layer excessive cost either on the landlord or their tenants, and trying also to think about some protection for tenants if there were costs associated with changes that couldn't necessarily be passed on, which then, of course, would undermine the whole concept around affordability. So we did talk about simple things that you can do. There are things like blackout curtains. There are things like, additional types of protection in walls. There are things like simple ways to glaze your windows or put coverings on your windows. So those are the basic things, not that expensive. But then we also talked about trying to figure out how you could mirror, I guess, the provincial government regulations which have come in around new developments, which do have requirements around cooled areas, and whether or not there was a way to practically attach that to currently existing units. So it was a pretty far-ranging conversation, and we were looking primarily at an example that has been undertaken by New Westminster, who undertook this and have it now in place. And so our staff were directed to consult with New West, find out essentially what they did, what they've learned, where the pitfalls are, how you can solve those challenges, and also to explore for us locally what the relevant changes might be to different regulations. But I think the really important piece about this is that while this is terribly important and very crucial, we understand it's going to take time, and it should have very thoughtful examination. So you will see nothing that is applicable this year. The preliminary report back from staff won't happen until July. So we're looking at a fairly long-term proposal and some really important work that it'll take time to undertake, and I don't expect that we'll have anything in place before the very earliest next year.
Okay, so exploring that, staff will be looking into it. We'll hear back later for trying to figure out how tenants can get their units cooled. Now let's move on to the other thing under that heat umbrella, and that is when we do have a heat event, kind of like how when there's a cold weather event, there's protocols that kick in. You get emergency shelters and warming centers and stuff like that. We have the opposite when there's a big heat event. We open up traditionally these cooling centers, at least the city does. You're re-examining that and whether or not that's actually the best use of resources. Talk about how that discussion went.
Yeah, it's a really important one as well, because not just speaking about folks who have the ability to get inside somewhere, but folks who don't. And so we heard yesterday from our fire chief and the person who's responsible for emergency response associated with the fire department, who gave us a really thoughtful outline about all of the other measures that the city can undertake and has in the past and will now do a little bit more of for this coming year, anticipating excessive heat, although, as you say, not today. And so she talked about how many different opportunities there would be to create misting stations, to create water stations, to create canopies, to create spaces where people could gather and get some protection from the sun, but also some protection just from the excessive humidity that comes often in our area when you get temperatures over 25, 26, 27, 28, and even higher. And so Tanya Seal-Jones is her name, and she went through the long list. I don't have her details right in front of me, I'll confess, but she was talking about increasing the number of misting stations in the downtown core and the numbers of different places where you could access water that you could actually, I'm not sure how to say this, I imagine it, you can imagine it as if you were a kid, you can actually walk through spaces that have water, but also have access to drinking water, which is really important. So this is all about trying to figure out a way where you can keep people hydrated, you can keep people protected from excessive sun exposure, you can give them places to get a little bit of breezeway when it makes sense that it cools it off when we get some wind. So we're looking at all the different things in the public spaces now that are able to be fairly easily included in some sense of creating misting, water, that sort of thing.
So kind of moving away from the central cooling centers and moving more into that kind of stuff, getting those misting stations, water stations, those things kind of more spread out. Is that roughly what I'm thinking?
Yes, that's partly it. I mean, we still do have the capacity, and we will, when necessary, to use community centers for inside spaces, to use public spaces for inside centers, the Crystal Gardens, good Lord, Crystal Pool for one, as long as it's with us. And so our public spaces that do have access to public areas will be used in a pinch, but those will be used when it becomes quite desperate, I suppose, in the sense that first step was water, second step is shade, and that last step is pulling you inside where you can actually have some climate control. And that's kind of related to what we were just talking about in private spaces, spaces where you can actually have some control of the actual temperature. So we're not, I want to make sure that people understand that we have all of these different options available to us, and we're preparing to use all of them as needed.
We got Victoria Mayor Marion Alto on the line. One real quick last one for you. We're just about at a time, but I just want to talk about firefighters and their role in responding to emergency medical calls, which is something that's it takes up a lot of firefighter time. And my understanding is we're rethinking that. How is that changing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's an important one, too, and it's sort of related to the larger topic. Our firefighters, of course, who do an incredible job, are so remarkably overworked that we had to look at a number of different ways for us to consider the best use of resources that both protect the firefighters but provide, of course, excellent firefighting service. Now, one of the things, as you note, is that our fire responders have always gone immediately to any type of an emergency, whether or not it's fire-related directly. And so what's happened at this point is that we've had to look at whether or not that's actually necessary and whether it's a good use of their time and the stress that it puts on them, given the very important job that they do, the difficult job that they do. And so we've reduced the capacity for them to go to be that first responder at unknown, not fire-related incidents. So that may, in fact, we believe that it will have a really important benefit to the firefighters to allow them to be available for the fire-related issues that we deal with all of the time, but also to create a bit of a better partnership with other emergency response services and figure out how best to deliver the best service to the people in need.
Well, we got to leave it there, but breezing through all of the things the Victoria City Council and just City Hall dealing with right now as far as issues. Marion Alto, the mayor, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Have a great day.
We'll take a break. 7:30 News next on CFAX.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7:31 on this Friday, May 15th. We got showers, we got wind, and by this afternoon, a risk of a thunderstorm in the forecast. The weekend looks sunny, though. Trust me, it's coming. But we'll get to the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. Good morning. A man's been in charge after two suspicious fires in the Port Alberni area. Actually, fire crews saying there was a spate of fires that happened in that region. But the suspect arrested on Wednesday night near Coombs. RCMP got word of a man deliberately setting brush fires in the area. The 38-year-old's been charged with 2 counts of arson. He remains in custody. No new fires on Vancouver Island in the past 24 hours. The union representing more than 700 emergency communication professionals in BC say members have voted 95% in favor of strike action while negotiating essential service order with the employer. QP 8911 says the result underscores growing concerns about staffing, or lack of workload, and long-term sustainability of the 911 system, or 911. The union says staff have reported high rates of burnout, occupational stress injuries, and excessive hours driven by staff shortages. It says once the process to negotiate the essential service order with ECOM is complete, the workers would be in a legal strike position. The vote comes after the union had said it was not able to reach a new contract after months of negotiations. The union says negotiations are resuming today with the results of the strike vote in hand. Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Calgary today to meet with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Premier David Eby says he spoke with the Prime Minister yesterday about what will be announced around that Memorandum of Understanding that was signed last year, including the proposed oil pipeline to the coast. Eby says BC has 35 projects ready to go, and he's hoping Ottawa will start giving them the same consideration.
There's an opportunity for the federal government to work as closely with us on these projects as they work with the government of Alberta on Premier Smith's proposed pipeline, which has yet to have a proponent or a route. And so I'll be advancing that conversation with the Prime Minister, and I'm hopeful we'll be able to get to a place here in British Columbia, a level of engagement on those projects.
Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson was at the same event that cleared the way for LNG Canada to advance to final investment decision by the end of the year. Hodgson was asked if Alberta is getting special treatment on major products.
I couldn't agree more with the Premier. There's a lot to do here. I know the Prime Minister is committed to working with the Premier and everyone in British Columbia to see those projects come to fruition, because a strong BC is a strong Canada.
A source says the two leaders are expected to announce an industrial carbon emission price of $130 per ton by 2040. That's about $40 less than most Canadian jurisdictions. The federal government also announced another $12.4 million for BC's forest sector. The Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson, shared the long-term plan for the forest sector in light of increased U.S. tariff threats.
Last month, I received the task force recommendations on how to restructure, retool, and transform Canada's forest sector for long-term competitiveness and sustainability. We intend to take the advice seriously. It will inform a targeted new national forestry strategy we are developing in partnership with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples, and which I look forward to sharing with Canadians later this year.
$45,000 will go to a project in Cole Harbour in northern Vancouver Island to integrate Indigenous knowledge with scientific expertise to guide balanced forestry practices. The U.S. president is spending the second day in meetings with the Chinese president. While the majority of their conversations have centered around trade, Donald Trump afterwards said the war in Iran did come up.
We did discuss Iran. We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end. And we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We want the straits open. We're closing it now. They closed it, then we closed it on top of them.
During that trip, Trump had said several meetings with Chinese counterparts that they reached some fantastic trade deals. That's your news to 7:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050? 80% are saying yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 7:37.
Good morning. Stormy start to the Friday. It's 9 degrees. We got some showers, some wind out there.
Foggy.
Full forecast to come in just a few moments, but I'll give you the quick spoiler alert. It does get nice in time for the long weekend when Saturday arrives.
I like that spoiler alert.
Just today.
Bring that one on.
Speaking of the long weekend, Victoria Day Parade is on Monday, and we've got the parade organizers coming in about 10-15 minutes here to tell us all about what we need to know to get ready for the Victoria Day Parade, which will be happening. Different route, but it is happening. That's coming up in a few moments. Also, we've had lots of people still weighing in on our kind of premature remembrance of the Mount St. Helens eruption anniversary, which is happening Monday. But since we're not going to be here on Monday, we wanted to talk about it now and dig into that audio archive and revisit that moment captured live on CFAX back in 1980 when it happened. And we've got so many more memories being shared from listeners, and we're going to play that audio one more time if you haven't heard this before.
It's kind of a where were you moment.
Yeah. And we're getting everybody's where I was story. So we're going to get back to that in just a moment too. So that's all to come. But first, let's talk about the sports in the BCHL. The Nanaimo Clippers, who were the winners here on the coast, are going on to the final tonight, the Rogers Cup final in the BCHL, to take on the interior winners, who happen to be the Brooks Bandits. That's in Alberta. So tonight's BCHL game will be in Alberta. The Nanaimo Clippers and the Brooks Bandits. Game 1, it's on tonight. For the NHL, Montreal Canadiens, 1 win away from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. The Habs thumping the Sabres 6-3 in Buffalo last night. Montreal will host Game 6 tomorrow night. And then in the other game last night, Vegas ended it all for Anaheim. So Vegas with a 5-1 win in Game 6. They move on now to play Colorado next, and Anaheim is done for the season. And Daniel and Henrik Sedin confirmed as Vancouver's co-presidents of hockey operations. So the Sedin twins returned to the Canucks, and former teammate Ryan Johnson yesterday named the Canucks' new general manager. That is your CFAX Sports to 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. I'll say it again. It is clear as a bell out there for our West Shore commute. It's the Friday before a long weekend. The schools for a lot of our local school districts are on a Pro D day, so that traffic isn't there today. For all these various reasons, we are looking very clear. If you happen to be planning a commute from the West Shore to Victoria, today's looking great. No delays. For the Blanchard paving, it's on again today, northbound Bay to Hillside, so squeezing it all down to one lane. Watch out for obstructions there. Again, I think this is the last day of at least this iteration of this road work, so hopefully next week it's a little different. For the weather, well, it's a blustery start to the day. We've seen some showers across Greater Victoria, and that's just kind of the picture for the rest of the day. With one change, a risk of a thunder shower by later this afternoon enters the forecast. Highs only hit 12, so a bit cool today. Tonight, lows down to 8. Then tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and cloud, a little blustery, but we are clearing up, highs of 14. Then for Sunday and Monday, sunshine, temperatures up to 17 degrees. That includes our holiday Monday with the parade going down the streets of Victoria. We will be talking about the Victoria Day Parade in just 10 minutes with the organizers. All you need to know coming up Right now to the markets, it's kind of down everywhere right now. S&P TSX dropping 427 points, now at 33,840. The Dow is down 358 to 49,704. The Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents US. That is down a little from yesterday. And the barrel of oil, it's the only thing up right now to $104.24 US a barrel. That's up a little over $3 from yesterday.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Monday's not just Victoria Day for us here. It is also the anniversary of the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. It happened May 18th, all those years ago.
46 years.
And our listeners have been sharing their stories. I mean, this is kind of a Monday thing, but we're not going to be here Monday. Just programming note, we are going to be playing you some highlights, the best interviews of the last few
big ones.
Weeks we're going to be giving you on Monday, but we thought we'd spend a moment remembering this event right here. And in just a few moments, I'm going to replay that CFAX audio captured during the moment of the eruption. But here are some of our memories being shared. This texter says, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I was living on a farm a few miles north of Brandon, Manitoba when Mount St. Helens erupted. A few days later, the ash cloud reached us, obscuring the sun, coating everything with a layer of ash."
In central Canada?
Yeah. People were advised to stay indoors if possible. It was amazing to see the far-reaching impact of that event. So that's one of the memories we got. This texter says, on May 18th morning, 1980, in Saanich, I remember sitting at the kitchen table across from Dad having breakfast when we heard Mount St. Helens blow its top. Well, actually, it didn't blow its top, but
side out.
Blew its side.
Yeah.
My parents and I went to Mount St. Helens a few years later, driving through some of the northern states.
Okay.
This texter says, Mount St. Helens erupted when I was 12, getting ready for my days. When I heard the explosion, I thought it was the Victoria Day cannon being fired.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because much like this weekend, May 18th kind of lined up for that Victoria Day moment.
Yeah.
Crazy. So those are some of the memories we've got from our listeners.
And they knew it was coming. Like they knew it was going to happen, that something was imminent. They just didn't know exactly when.
You never know when.
And there was many people that just said, no, I'm not leaving. You know, I'm staying. I've lived on the mountain my whole life, and I'm not leaving. And that was a personal choice. They tried to get as many people out, try to get people to leave, obviously. But 57 people did perish in that explosion. It was huge for something natural to occur like that. Having a volcano blow its top after being dormant for how long?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, picturesque sight prior, and then it became this lunar landscape of just nothingness. And slowly, life has returned on Mount St. Helens, but it's taken decades for it to start to come back. The succession.
We've had some requests to go back to that audio archive moment from CFAX. We played this earlier in the show, but since people wanted to hear it again or maybe missed it, so one more time. This is the audio from the live broadcast on CFAX in 1980, May 18th. I'll set it up again. Here's what you're hearing. So Johnny Z is the guy on air. Longtime listeners will know that name. And he's just reading some community events. Then what you hear is, it sounds like several explosions because you're hearing the sound waves bouncing off things.
Okay.
I think even the Olympic Mountains, it's kind of bouncing off that even. So you're hearing this, what sounds like several booms. You hear a disoriented seagull hit the window, and you hear poor Johnny Z just try to make it through his broadcast.
It gets nervous.
Yeah, so here we go. Let's just take a listen to that heading into the news.
Two of a three-day equestrian horse show. What's that? I think the Marauders are already at it. Yes. Day 2 of a 3-day equestrian horse show at the Saanich Fairgrounds. I hope those are the Marauders. The annual Citrus Cannon Shoot, now an international event at Ships Point Wharf on the harbor, followed by a costume parade from there to Market Square for more events.
A little bit of history right here on CFAX. Now for the headlines at 7:46, here's Lisa.
From the anniversary of the Mount St. Helens explosion, we take you to BC wildfires and the caution that the government is asking you to have as you head into wilderness this weekend. It is a long weekend when it comes to campfires. You're allowed to have one. That's being lifted at noon today, the ban that was across the province. But Category 2 and 3 fire bans are currently in place. The province says you need to take precaution, and some forms of open fire bans are still in effect. The reminder comes as police charge one man with 2 counts of arson after allegedly setting brush fires in the Port Alberni region. On the BC wildfire status, this morning, 34 fires burning province-wide, 8 listed as out of control, 6 new fires in the last 24 hours. There's no new fires burning on Vancouver Island in the last day. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith expected to announce an industrial carbon price agreement today. That happens in Calgary. A source with knowledge on the discussion had said that they are expected to reveal a plan for Alberta to raise its emission price to $130 per tonne by 2040. Alberta froze its industrial carbon emission price at $95 per tonne last year. A carbon price plan was one of several steps agreed to by the two governments in a memorandum of understanding last year in order to build a bitumen pipeline to the West Coast. And Drake has explained to fans in a unique, creative fashion that his father is battling cancer. The rapper revealed in the lyrics of the new song Make Them Cry, in his first track of the new album Ice Man that was released today, that his 71-year-old dad is facing cancer. He hasn't said what kind, but fans are now posting wishes, well wishes online for that. And that is your news to 7:48.
A couple more Mount St. Helens eruption memories coming in because Monday's the anniversary. This texter says, was off the coast commercial fishing and the fleet was on standby given the tsunami that they thought could happen.
Oh.
Interesting.
Of course.
And then this texter says, that morning in Langford, back in 1980, I was in bed and the window was open and my curtains blew in as the Big Bang happened.
From that distance.
That's crazy. Couldn't imagine what it was at the time. I thought maybe something blew up at Esquimalt for the Navy base.
You would think that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing those memories here on CFAX 1070. Well, this Monday is not just the Mount St. Helens eruption anniversary. It is, of course, Victoria Day this year, and the parade will be happening. A bunch of festivities will be taking place right all across the Greater Victoria region. But let's dial into the parade and some of those other events, because Kelly Curta, Executive Director of the Greater Victoria Festival Society, is joining us to give us the full rundown next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe.
This week, we're having a chat with local author, writer, and architectural historian Martin Sager. We'll be learning about some of Victoria's landmark gates and gardens, the economics of leisure, and we'll be hearing about some of the region's notable landowners from yesteryear.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe, Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. They have a fresh selection of easy, entertaining party trays available. Order them online, over the phone, or in-store for your next event or family gathering. Traffic and weather. The weather's the thing. Traffic, there's nothing going on. Nobody's driving today. Maybe being exaggerating a bit, but yeah, it's a pro D day for schools. It's the Friday before a long weekend. It seems like nobody's going anywhere. Just clear roads. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. The weather, though, is exciting. We got a few showers with us. We got some wind. We've got a risk of a thunderstorm later this afternoon. Highs of 12 degrees. Coldest day it's been for like all month, it seems. Then tonight, chance of showers. Thunderstorm continuing, maybe. That risk of a thunderstorm. We don't actually know if we're going to see it. It's just the weather conditions are coming together in a way that it could produce a couple thunderclaps. Lows down to 8 overnight, but then it clears out. So the rest of the long weekend ahead of us is looking like it gets sunny. Maybe a little on the windy side tomorrow. There's that kind of day where things are changing, but then it's a mix of sun and cloud. Highs of 14 on Saturday. Sunday is sunshine with a high of 17, and Victoria Day Monday, sunshine and a high of 17.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Of course, this Victoria Day long weekend means a lot of festivities here in the capital city of British Columbia, including the Victoria Day Parade on Monday, but there's so much more. Executive Director of the Greater Victoria Festival Society, Kelly Curta, joining us right now with a rundown. Great to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm good. I'm sure you're very busy right now. Is this kind of go time? Everything's happening?
Yeah, it's been a really busy couple of weeks for sure.
I can imagine. And the parade is, of course, one of the big things we'd like to talk about, but there's a bunch of other stuff going on. Should we just kind of run down the weekend?
For sure, yeah. So much happening this weekend. So Saturday, we have our One World Festival at the Legislative Assembly in Belleville Street. So we've got about 40 or 50 vendors, a whole array of multicultural performances starting at 11 in the morning right through until 6 at night, where we finish off with the Canadian military. And then Sunday, we have our parade of bands. We have the Victoria Morris dancers kicking it off, stages, performing arts, and then our amazing parade of bands with, so how we do it is we do all the bands that are in the parade, we do them in reverse order up on the legislator. They do kind of like a marching through with some music, and then we go right into our drum battle. And we have the University of Washington coming back this year with their Husky drum team, which is always a fan favorite. And we've got a couple of our American bands are going to be there as well. And then, of course, Monday morning, we kick it off at 8:30 with the Victoria Mile, which we've done for a few years now. Last year, we raised $73,000 in support of the Parkinson's Wellness Group. There's still time to register. The goal this year for them is $100,000. And then 9 o'clock.
Actually, hang on. Before you move on to the parade, the Victoria Mile, the race, I just want to dial into what that is, because that's a little running event, right? And is that because you've already got the roads cleared for the parade? Why not do a running race on it too?
Well, why not add another element or another layer? I mean, it's just so much fun. We love supporting our local charities, and we do so with almost all of our events. And so a few years ago, Parkinson's Wellness Group came to us, and they wanted to do this race, and we thought, that sounds fun. So we started it up at Burnside and Douglas, and it was exactly 1 mile right down to City Hall. And it was a great way to start the parade. And it's grown every year. And so last year was our biggest, $73,400 was raised. And yeah, this year we've got just over 200 participants. Still time to register, like I said, and all of the money stays right here in Victoria, supporting all of the programs for the Parkinson's Wellness Project.
Okay, and that gets us to 9 o'clock Monday morning when the Victoria Day Parade happens. It's a little different this year. We've been talking to you about this for a little while now, but let's remind everybody that the route is different.
Yes, it most definitely is. The route is the same route as we did with the Santa Claus Parade. So we were advised in October that the route for the Santa Claus Parade would be changed for November of last year. And then we had tried to keep the Victoria Day Parade on Douglas Street. We had said that, we would get vehicle blockers and that, but with some operational impact and capacity in that, City of Victoria and the Victoria Police advised that this would be the route for all of the parades now. So the parade kicks off at Belleville and Government Street. It heads north on Government, takes a slight left onto Wharf Street, all along the waterway to Johnson. Then we head east on Johnson, back up onto Government, and we disperse out at Chatham.
And so that's the route that we saw for the Santa Claus parade, as you mentioned. And what have been the challenges in trying to shift things? I know you got to. It's all the result of that Lapu Lapu Festival tragedy, and communities all around BC are dealing with different rules and regulations. And I guess this route is just a safer route or easier to kind of block and corral. But what have been the challenges of trying to move the big Victoria Day parade into this spot?
There have been several, as with the Santa Claus parade. So with the change to the new route, we've also had more equipment and more logistics put upon us from the city and the Victoria Police. So those include additional traffic control, fencing in certain areas of the parade that we have not had in the past. And just layers that we need to work with. So, things that people don't think about. For example, we have a couple of participants that come over from the mainland. They book about 100 hotel rooms. They normally book in the Red Lion, Accent Inn, that area, because that's where they marshal. So it's very easy for them to get to the marshalling route up at Mayfair. So this year, they've had to, the cost for them has significantly increased. They've had to book in downtown hotels. Many of the floats, they can't come to the parade in the morning all done. So a lot of the parade participants have to set up their floats in a location very close to the parade. Well, that was Mayfair. It was the parking lot, it was up top, and then they would drive down into the marshalling area. This year, we're fortunate that we've been able to use parking lot Q for that, which is at Menzies in Kingston. So we've been able to book that through our good friends at Indigo and have that so the parade participants can use it. But then we've also got to consider the horse-drawn carriages. That's their area where they do their business and stuff. So we've extended our marshalling area on Belleville Street all the way down to Oswego in order to try and fit in all of these entries, because Victoria Day is significantly larger than the Santa Claus parade.
Yeah, it's the big one. But it sounds like, though, you just laid out a lot of challenges you've had to overcome, but it sounds like you've got there. You've overcome the challenges. The Victoria Day Parade will be happening on Monday. It's going to be exactly what you think, just at a different spot.
Exactly. It's going to be great. It's a wonderful event. It's a legacy. It's a tradition, from, parents and grandparents bringing their kids, and now those kids bringing their kids and their grandchildren. Come down, enjoy the parade, enjoy the new route, have breakfast or lunch at a local business. And let's keep the tradition going. Just because we change the route doesn't mean we can't do the same thing.
It's going to go at the legislature to begin along Government, Wharf Street, Lower Johnson, ending right around Centennial Square is where you'll see that play out if you want to plan ahead. And we're talking to Kelly Curta, who is with the Greater Victoria Festival Society, helping to put all this together. Much appreciated. Thank you for talking to us today. Good luck on Monday and all through the weekend with all this stuff happening.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
All right, we'll take a break. 8 o'clock news next on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Oh, hello. Good morning. It's 8:02 on this Friday, May 15th. So we've got some showers, we got some wind, and we've even got a risk of a thunder shower later this afternoon. Full forecast to come. But right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. We begin with the hurdle over energy. One cleared in approving one of BC's submissions by the Federal Major Products Office. Natural Resources Minister Jim Hodgson announcing yesterday the way has been cleared for LNG Canada's second phase to advance to final investment decision.
In an exciting milestone for the project, the Government of Canada, the Government of British Columbia, and LNG Canada have now agreed upon an enhanced cooperation agreement to advance LNG Canada Phase 2 expansion toward its potential 2026 final investment decision.
Premier David Eby weighing in is optimistic the project will happen.
When LNG Canada reaches final investment decision before the end of the year, it will be the largest private sector investment in Canadian history.
LNG Phase 1 is the largest at this point. The company earlier this month announcing additional private funding to get that to the final investment decision. Alberta politicians wrapping up a spring legislative sitting that was overshadowed by the separatist movement and the political tension that rolled in with it. The sitting saw legislation involving everything from a public library, books to medical assistance in dying, but separatism was what drove the war of words in question period in Wildrose country. Government House leaders saying the United Conservative were focused on the economy, affordability and jobs, and the opposition NDP were fixated on separatism. The NDP accusing the UCP government of continuing to enable the separatist movement. The Carney government putting emphasis on diplomacy with Persian Gulf countries seeking not just investment but also partnership in fields like technology and defense. University of Ottawa professor Thomas Juneau, who specializes in the region, says beyond energy wealth, Gulf countries have made strides in green technology and artificial intelligence.
The UAE has been massively investing in artificial intelligence. The UAE has, and a lot of people struggle to understand this, but investing in green tech. Qatar and Saudi Arabia have also been investing massively to diversify their economy in multiple other sectors. And in some cases, notably AI, notably some of these emerging tech issues, they're actually quite advanced.
Juneau had said that Canada has a track record of pushing to deepen ties with countries and regions before letting up as priorities shift, and the engagement needs to be sustained. The U.S. president telling reporters aboard Air Force One that Boeing will be making its first sale to China in nearly a decade.
Made a lot of great trade deals, including over 200 planes for Boeing with a promise of 750 planes, which will be by far the largest order ever if they do a good job with the 200, which I'm sure they will. And that's General Electric also, the engines. So they're buying General Electric. So it's approximately 450 engines, 200 planes, and a promise of up to 750 if they do a good job.
Regarding the war, the U.S. president also doubling down on its assertion that the U.S. has bested Iran in this war.
We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force.
And in Ontario, the top court expected to release its decision today in the case of former Canadian fashion mogul Peter Nygard.
Nygard was convicted of 4 counts of sexual assault in 2023 and sentenced to 11 years in prison. The charges stemmed from allegations dating from the 1980s until the mid-2000s. Multiple women, one of whom was 16 years old at the time of the offense, accused Nygard of sexually assaulting them at his company's headquarters in Toronto. Nygard is asking the appeal court to quash his conviction or set it aside and order a new trial. He's also seeking to have his sentence reduced. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
That's your CFAX News to 8:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning: do you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050? Over 88% say yes, good idea. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa, and good morning. A little bit of a wet, blustery start to the day. We've even got a chance of a thunder shower getting into the forecast by later this afternoon. The nice thing is, though, by the time tomorrow rolls around and we get into this Victoria Day long weekend, it does clear up and we get sunnier and warmer as the weekend goes on.
That is music to our ears.
That is music.
Yeah.
To everybody's ears.
It's what we need.
Yeah. But, the rain's not bad either right now.
Well, we can take it today.
Get it out of the way today.
Exactly.
In time for the weekend.
Thank
It
you.
never goes that way, so I'm really glad that Mother Nature is cooperating for this long weekend.
Exactly.
Fingers crossed it stays that way, because you never know. Variable forecasts here in Victoria. For the CFAX 1070 Sports, the Rogers BCHL Cup Finals begin tonight. And from the island, of course, the Nanaimo Clippers, who were the Coastal Conference winners, are going on to play the Interior Conference winners, the Brooks Bandits. So game one tonight is in Brooks, Alberta for the Nanaimo Clippers. In NHL news, the Montreal Canadiens are one win away now from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final, with Montreal beating the Buffalo Sabres 6-3 last night. Montreal hosting Game 6 tomorrow night. And then Vegas ended the season for Anaheim with a 5-1 win in Game 6 yesterday. So Vegas Golden Knights going on to play Colorado in the next matchup. And for off-ice news, we learned that it is official for the Vancouver Canucks. Daniel and Hendrik Sedin are moving into the franchise's front office. The Twins named the Vancouver co-presidents of hockey operations, along with former teammate Ryan Johnson, who was named the Canucks' new general manager. And there's some Whitecaps news. A meeting aimed at finding solutions to keep the Whitecaps soccer team in Vancouver resulted in this new group. Representatives from the Whitecaps and the Major League Soccer League met with members of the provincial and federal governments, the City of Vancouver, 3 local First Nations, and Pavco, the Crown Corporation that runs BC Place Stadium. They all met Wednesday, and they just put out a statement yesterday saying there was unification in trying to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. What that actually produces, we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of sports, sports guy Steve is getting ready to join the show in a few moments with his sports commentary. Stand by for that. We've also got a special contest to tell you about all next. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty's has a fresh selection of easy, entertaining party trays available. Order them online, over the phone, or in-store for your next event or your next family gathering. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Roads continue to be much clearer than usual. It's the Friday before a holiday. It's a Pro D day for a number of our local school districts. There's not much happening on the roads. If you do see otherwise, though, text us at 7-10-10. The weather's exciting. We got a few showers. Got some wind this morning. A risk of a thunderstorm later this afternoon. Highs of 12 degrees, which is going to be a lot cooler than pretty much every other day this month. Lows of 8 overnight tonight, with that chance of a thunder shower still kind of with us. Tomorrow, though, it starts to clear. It's going to be a bit blustery at times. A lot of wind as we're kind of in one of those unsettled transition days, but it's transitioning to a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow with a high of 14 degrees. Then it's sunshine for Sunday, sunshine for Monday, which is the Victoria Day holiday, and highs of 17 degrees on both of those days. Right now, it's a chilly, comparatively speaking, 9 degrees. Not so bad. S&P TSX is down 510 points to 33,757 as we turn now to North American stock markets. In New York, the Dow Jones down 394 to 49,668 Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents US, which is pretty much where it's been all day, but it's down slightly from yesterday's close. And the barrel of oil at $104.68 US a barrel, which is up $3.50 from yesterday.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Oh, so I got a thing I was trying to do here. Here we go.
We sense that.
Buttons. I got to push buttons. All right. So let's just reset.
It's live radio, folks.
We're starting now.
Okay.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't. Well, what's that then? I've heard worse.
So that, of course,
it's a flesh wound.
It's only a flesh wound. That is from Monty Python's movie, The Holy Grail, and it's stuff from that movie that finds its way into Monty Python's Spamalot, the Tony Award-winning musical. And guess what? It's coming to the Royal Theatre August 28th to the 30th. And that,
I'm in.
And that is going to be our ticket giveaway, not next week, but the week after.
Oh, wow. We're just stacking these up.
Because next week we're going to be talking about the Summer of Rock.
It's rock. Concerts.
But heads up, because after that, we've got the Spamalot giveaway. Stay tuned for your chance to win, not next week, but the week after. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up, but also just know that Spamalot coming to the Royal Theatre August 28th to the 30th. If you're a Monty Python fan, this is a must go to. Yeah, it's you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Have you seen it?
Many times.
No, not this one, Spamalot.
Oh, the Spamalot. No, I haven't.
Okay.
So I'm excited because I've never had a chance to see Spamalot as a guy who grew up watching the movie many times. I'm very excited to finally get an opportunity to see this and a
theater, a Broadway show.
Yeah. It's another one of these Broadway shows kind of coming into Victoria, which is a great thing.
Nice.
All right, so heads up, that's coming. Okay. It's also time to talk sports, because sports guy Steve is here, and we can't talk about sports guy Steve without playing his introduction. So, of course, without further ado,
To the windup in his first offering. Touch the ball, Joe. The golden goal.
It's sports guy Steve.
Oh, my goodness.
What did you say? You heard me.
Here's sports guy Steve. Just a bit outside.
Every sport sees the potential next one. You know, the one that elevates the sport once in a generation. Tiger Woods in golf, Michael Jordan in basketball, Connor McDavid in hockey. NASCAR's been looking for that kind of person since the death of Dale Earnhardt. There have been drivers that had a great following, couldn't have the results. There have been drivers who had the wins and championships, didn't connect for the fans. Enter the next, maybe. You probably haven't heard of him. He comes from Michigan. He doesn't come from the South. He doesn't come with the silver spoon, mom and dad with a big bank account to finance his career. His dad actually owns a sports card shop. But he does have something else, an attitude and an ability not to take himself too seriously off the racetrack. Carson Hocevar, remember that name, won his first NASCAR top-level race recently at Talladega with what most would call a below-average Cup team. He started getting close to wins last year, couldn't close it out. He was in the final three for a Truck Series title about 3 years ago when he basically tried to wreck the other two in the final race to win in the closing laps, and it didn't work, and it really fell apart. Anyway, he really doesn't respect NASCAR driver etiquette at all, like not even a little. If he thinks he can fit a car in a spot to better his position, he'll do it, and he'll say sorry later, but he won't mean that he's sorry because he's doing it. NASCAR realizes they have something here that is gathering fan respect. No-hold-barred style, similar to their best big star, Mr. Earnhardt. He's a social media darling, isn't afraid to try things or do things. He attended the Met Gala recently. Pretty sure Dale Sr. wouldn't have done that. He's even tried to slide into Sabrina Carpenter's DMs or get someone to introduce them to the stage where NASCAR fans are actually trying to help him do it. Time will tell, but he may be the one for the new generation of NASCAR fans. I'm Steve Young.
Why, thank you, Steve. Now over to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Thank you. With food inflation continuing to climb, we know it every time we get sticker shock at the grocery store. More and more Canadians are turning to liquidation stores to try to keep their food costs in check. It's that swelling demand that's driving the expansion of liquidation grocery stores right across the country. Unlike typical grocery stores, liquidation supermarkets buy overstocked or slightly defective inventory from large-scale manufacturers or wholesalers at a discount and then sell it to you at a lower price as well. Buyer beware when it comes to shopping for a used car. A new report from CFAX Canada found that last year, well over 20,000 vehicles were flagged to have rolled black odometers in their vehicle history reports, and the company suspects the actual number may be much higher. CFAX Canada VP Mike Foster explains that anyone can buy a tool off Amazon and roll back the odometer. It doesn't, so no one's protected. However, the odometer isn't the only way your vehicle records the mileage. Several newer cars have black boxes and various electronic modules that can record kilometers under their tires, and the mechanic can have a scan of it to determine the true mileage fairly easily. To avoid falling victim to odometer tampering, CFAX advise you purchasing the vehicle information package and the vehicle history report as well. In Ontario alone, well over 2,300 dealers, salespeople and curbside sellers were charged with various offenses last year, resulting in a combined of $1.9 million in fines, though this is far-reaching. And travel industry insiders aren't worried about the future of cruises, even with a pair of recent high-profile outbreaks. Dalhousie University tourism expert Lauren Sheehan says cruises were able to bounce back after the pandemic. He expects the same will be true with the recent hantavirus outbreak. Sheehan says the growth of the cruise tourism outpaces the sector as a whole, as travelers appreciate cruises for their convenience and luxury. And that's your news to 8:19.
A lot of energy news this week out of both the federal and provincial governments. So one of the things, BC government and federal energy minister hyping up efforts to get LNG Canada's proposed Phase 2 expansion across the finish line. This was happening yesterday afternoon. But not everybody's pleased to hear that, including the BC Green Party, who have a few, many concerns about LNG and even its effects on our health. With the BC Green Party, Emily Lowen joining us in just a moment to talk more about that. That's right after traffic and weather.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio, pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Well, the traffic's easy. Nothing's happening out there. Very light commuting volume. No crashes or accidents. You can text us at 71010 if you see otherwise. For the weather, a few showers with us right now. That's going to carry us through the day with a risk of a thunderstorm by later this afternoon. Highs of 12, which is a bit cooler. I have a text here at 71010 says, geez, Our furnace just turned on. Yeah, it's that kind of morning. A little cooler today than it has been all the month of May. But it all changes tomorrow. We get back into some sunshine. It's going to be a bit breezy tomorrow, but highs get up to 14. Sunshine for Sunday and Victoria Day Monday, with those temperatures getting to 17 degrees both those days.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
She is the leader of the BC Green Party, Emily Lowen, joining us on the line right now to talk about energy issues and beyond. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Doing very well.
Great to get you here. So we got a bunch of stuff to get through. I wanted to start with LNG because we had the BC government and the federal energy minister yesterday talking about trying to get the LNG Canada proposed phase 2 expansion going, expanding LNG in the province. Now, this comes as some folks like yourself have been raising concerns over LNG and the effects of not just it on the environment, but also on our health. Talk us through what you think about these plans and these conversations happening yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a bit of context, this was a bit of a nothing burger press conference. Even the journalists were asking this question about what are you actually announcing here? It was a cooperation agreement to ensure the final investment decision for LNG Canada Phase 2 by the end of this year, which we already kind of knew. So I think more than anything, it was to signal to American equity investors that BC's doors are open, because that's what we've seen coming in is largely multinational companies. So getting back to it, I think the risks of this project and its expansion far outweigh the benefits to British Columbians, fiscally, environmentally, and from a public health perspective. So it recently came out that LNG Canada Phase 1 is flaring an average of 40 times more gas than its permits allow. The health effects have never been comprehensively studied, but we have seen in the Kitimat region specifically increases in child asthma rates. And so it really feels like we have sort of the tip of the iceberg. But more than 50 organizations are urging Ottawa and BC for immediate action to address health and climate risks. Councils in Terrace, Squamish, Dawson Creek, and Hazelton have all been calling for proper health assessments because they're on the front lines of this LNG development and flaring. And what we heard was, the CEO of LNG Canada answered questions about these flaring concerns and just pointed to the company's own third-party reviews and, really had false assurances. And I think it's very basic that British Columbians shouldn't be taking health advice from the CEO of an LNG company. And, on the health side, honestly, I'm so pissed off. I was touring in Kitimat. I was had this amazing tour with two local councillors, and one of them was telling me about the 5-year lead up to LNG Canada Phase 1, and they got endless presentations from LNG Canada, and not one. At one point, did they talk about the flaring and how bad it was going to be? The fact that it was going to be a 200-foot flare casting 24-hour-a-day daylight on this community, right?
Are these always happening, these flares, or do they only happen at certain times?
So, no, it's not continuous, but it is highly regular.
Okay.
And so... Yeah, at this point, as I mentioned, LNG Canada is flaring an average of 40 times more than its permits allow. And so, yeah, it's far more regular than local people realized. And so everyone got, a small cash payment. And the people that I was talking to in the community, local councillors, they're aghast. They're really grappling with what they signed on to here. And so I have real concerns about transparency from LNG Canada specifically, and how they've, courted and misinformed local councils. And so, when we look to Phase 2, I think we need to be incredibly firm about what are the benefits to this community and British Columbians? Because when you look at the economics of this project and LNG projects broadly, LNG Canada President and CEO Chris Cooper admitted in that press conference that it's a very, very tough world to make LNG competitive. And when you look to other experts, they're noting that BC is going to be one of the highest cost late entrants to the LNG market. So if the economics are this shaky, I think British Columbians should be asking, why are taxpayers being asked to shoulder even more risk, spend billions of dollars to prop up these projects, when it stands to largely benefit multinational companies like Shell and Petronas, for example? So, there's so many questions about these projects. And, of course, they also continue to market them as clean when, in fact, studies are showing that they're worse than coal. So, the BC Greens continue to hold the line, to ask the hard questions for full impact assessment and to the communities that are, at the front line of this. And I think we need to stop these projects and expansion and look to the amazing renewable economy that is banging down our door.
Well, the BC government and federal governments yesterday in a news conference sort of hyping up these efforts to try to get more LNG here in BC as an economic driver, a way to, get the economy going in BC. But some other takes on whether or not this is a good thing from the BC Green Party leader, Emily Lowen, joining us on the line right now as we talk BC politics. Much appreciated. We got to cut it there just because we're out of time, but I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much. Good to chat.
Yeah, good stuff. We are going to take a break here. We've got the 8:30 news next. Then, here on the eve of a Victoria Day long weekend, we're going to get our Friday food vibes on. That is next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured. Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:31 on Friday, May 15th. We are looking at a blustery start to the day with some showers coming down, and we've got a risk of a thunder shower by later this afternoon. Full forecast to come, but right now the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. Canada's highest court is recognizing intimate partner violence as a legal basis for pursuing civil damages.
The Supreme Court of Canada says existing criminal offenses like assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress fail to remedy the specific wrongs to dignity, autonomy, and equality created by intimate partner violence. The judgment says this form of violence is not limited to physical or psychological abuse, but also includes all abusive behavior by one intimate partner to coerce and control the other. Today's ruling comes in the case of a woman who suffered years of physical and emotional abuse by her husband during their 16-year marriage. Jason White, The Canadian Press.
A union representing more than 700 emergency communications professionals in this province, as members have voted 95% in favor of strike action while negotiating an essential service orders with their employer. QP 8911 says the results underscore growing concerns about staffing, workload, and long-term sustainability of the 911 system. It says once the process to negotiate the essential service orders with ECOM is complete, the workers would be in a legal strike position. The vote comes after the union said it may not be able to reach a contract after trying to hammer out negotiations for months, with workers seeking higher pay, improved staffing levels, and also health supports. ECOM had said its top priority is ensuring services were not interrupted, and said last month it would bring in the BC Labour Relation Board for mediation. The union says negotiations are resuming today with the results of the strike vote in hand. A lot of focus on Calgary today with the Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier meeting to talk carbon pricing and the proposed oil pipeline to the BC coast. Premier David Eby said he spoke with Mark Carney about the announcement.
I had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister this afternoon about his MOU with Alberta's Premier. I am hopeful to be able to meet with him again next week to follow up. We're reviewing the details the Prime Minister has provided about what's in the MOU in terms of implications for British Columbia, the most significant of which relate to the carbon tax. And we'll be able to speak a little bit more comprehensively to it at that point.
Eby said he would like to see the federal government work as hard on BC's major projects as it does with Alberta proposals next door. A joint federal and provincial announcement on moving forward on Phase 2 of the LNG Canada project, the federal government clearing the way to advance a proposal in the final investment decision stage. CEO of LNG Canada, Chris Cooper, talked about the partnership established in Phase 1.
Phase 1 moved forward because governments, Indigenous partners, local communities and investors aligned around both the importance of the project and the path to deliver it. Today's cooperation announcement signals that same shared confidence. Confidence in the opportunity before us, and confidence in our ability to deliver a proposed Phase 2 expansion responsibly and successfully.
The agreement follows a decision on May 1st by LNG Canada's joint ventures participants to approve hundreds of millions of dollars in incremental funding to help finalize critical work. The scope's to achieve the potential decision by the end of the year. What temperature do you sleep at? Well, in health news, a sleep expert out of Boston offering advice on the room temperature overnight that will increase your chances of getting some good Z's. Sleep specialist Brian Chen with the Cleveland Clinic says setting the thermometer between 16 and 19 Celsius is recommended to help you fall asleep and sleep well.
When your body is hot at nighttime, it doesn't sleep well. You're going to be sweating more. You're going to be less comfortable. You're going to be moving around. And your body's core body temperature is supposed to drop down lower and lower to its minimum during your sleep.
Brian Chen says it's best to avoid caffeine and sugary foods closer to bedtime because both can increase your body temperature and make it harder for you to sleep comfortably. And that is your news to 8:35. Here's CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you agree with the federal plan to expand the role of natural gas to double Canada's power grid by 2050. And well over 80% say yes, good idea. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. We've got some wind and rain out there this morning around Greater Victoria. A chance of a thunder shower by later this afternoon, so that's all coming up. We'll give you the full forecast. Also coming up, we're going to slide on into our Friday food vibes. Dallas from the Vic Food Guys will be here with some long weekend things to try when it comes to food. Also, Rod Phillips, the Dork Uncorked, with a wine recommendation. There's so much to come. But first, over to CFAX 1070 Sports. So we'll start in hockey, where the Montreal Canadiens just one win away now from the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. The Habs thumping the Sabres 6-3 in Buffalo last night, thanks to 4 unanswered goals. The hosts held a 3-2 lead coming out of the first period, but then Montreal just took it from there. And now the games will shift back to Montreal for Game 6 tomorrow night, with one more win sending Montreal on. Kind of like what happened last night as the Vegas Golden Knights moved on with a 5-1 victory over Anaheim in Game 6. So Anaheim is out. Vegas will go on to play Colorado next. Local hockey, this is actually happening pretty far away from us, but the Rogers BCHL Cup Finals begins tonight, and from the island, the Nanaimo Clippers have made it all the way to the final, and they will take on, from the Interior Conference, the winners there, the Brooks Bandits. So Game 1 tonight is in Brooks, Alberta. And also in hockey, of course, we learned that it was confirmed Daniel and Hendrik Sedin will be the new Vancouver Canucks co-presidents of hockey operations. And their former teammate Ryan Johnson was named Canucks' new general manager. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 8:38. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It continues to be easy going out there on the roads. It's a lot of things. It's the Friday before a long weekend. It's Flex Friday for some office workers. It's Pro D days for a number of our Greater Victoria area school districts. So it's, for a lot of reasons, just an easy-going commute. We do have paving work continuing, Blanchard, northbound, Bay to Hillside. Watch out for things getting squeezed into one lane again there. So that is happening. In the weather, that's where the real excitement is today. We got a risk of a thunder shower coming at us this afternoon. We've already been seeing some showers and some wind this morning. Those will continue, but this risk of a thunderstorm getting in later into the afternoon. Tonight, risk of a thunderstorm continues with a chance of showers continuing, but it's all starting to peter out overnight. Lows down to 8 degrees. Then tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud, a little bit of wind as we hit that transition period in our weather forecast, highs of 14. Then Sunday and Monday for the Victoria Day long weekend Monday, it looks like sunshine with highs of 17 degrees. Right now, it is at the Victoria International Airport, the official temperature, 9 degrees. In downtown Victoria, we are at 9 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX continuing to drop. It's down 471 points to 33,796. The Dow in New York is down 438 to 49,625. Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents U.S., which is down a little bit from yesterday, but it's been kind of sitting there all morning. And the barrel of oil, $104.68 U.S. a barrel, which is up $3.50 from yesterday. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Let's kick off the Friday food vibes with a Friday wine vibe. With Rod Phillips, the Dork Uncorked. Rod, I don't even know what a wine vibe is, but we're doing it. That's what we're doing right here.
That's right. We've got vibes going on all over. It's Friday, so
exactly.
Better have a good vibe going on, right?
Well, this is where Rod, by the way, Rod is the Dork Uncorked, and Rod and I hang out on the weekends. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at noon, right here on CFAX 1070, doing a wine show. And actually, this weekend's episode is a banger. It's going to be with a local chef who talks about cooking with wine, some of his favorite recipes to make with wine as an ingredient, and just his philosophy behind wine as an ingredient, and why it's so important in the kitchen. And it's just going to be a great episode. And it's the guy behind Hank's restaurant, the chef there and owner. He's going to be joining us in this episode. Don't miss it. If you like cooking, it's going to be a lot of fun. But with that in mind, Rod, before we get to that, you've got a Friday recommendation for us right here.
Yeah, well, as we know, it's the long weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend a white wine. And I'm going to recommend a wine that comes from a region that is one of my favorites out of Italy, and it's called the Orvieto. The Orvieto is part of Tuscany. So if you go to Orvieto, it's in Umbria, technically in Umbria, but it's part of Tuscany. And Orvieto is often overshadowed by Pinot Grigio. But to me, it is a much more interesting and much more enjoyable wine. Now, the one I'm going to recommend is normally $17. It's on for $15. So there's definitely a great value appreciation there, given that the price has gone down. It's also one that we've recommended before, called the Ruffino Orvieto. There's not many Orvietos here in the market, but this one in particular is a great everyday, easy drinking because it has that acidity to it. It also has almost like a stone fruit pear flavor to it. So it's easy to drink. It's got a floral aromatic that comes out of it. It's fresh on the palate. So just chill it down a bit. Save yourself a couple bucks and get the Ruffino Orvieto.
Ruffino Orvieto. And there you go. Rod, wine vibes accomplished.
Wine vibes accomplished. Excellent.
We'll talk again on the weekend.
Alrighty, cheers.
And coming up next, we will be talking to Dallas from the Vic Food Guys as we continue our food vibes. And I'm so excited because Dallas is actually here in the flesh today. Hey, Dallas, how you doing?
It's like HD audio this morning.
Yeah, it's full on, the full in-person Dallas experience. Thanks for coming in.
Of course. I think this morning, we're all caps. We're excited.
So, for those who don't know, Dallas, you got this Instagram account called Vic Food Guys, where you chronicle the cool things you've eaten around the city, which I always love, and give us a sneak peek at what's coming up for today.
So we're going to be talking about, I think, the definition of a hidden gem. If you open the dictionary and you look at that term, you're going to see this place we're going to talk about. So it's going to be cool.
All right, that's coming up in just a few moments. But right now, let's get to the news headlines. I'm very curious about a hidden gem, Lisa.
Yeah, the other things we can salivate about, too, is what's happening in Calgary today. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has an announcement set for today.
That's awesome.
Another step towards resetting the province's relationship with Ottawa. She and Prime Minister Mark Carney will meet in Calgary. They're expected to announce an agreement on the future of Alberta's industrial carbon emission pricing. A carbon price plan was one of the commitments in November's energy deal in order to build a bitumen pipeline to the West Coast. Many people not on board with that, but then others are. Iran's top diplomat says a lack of trust is impeding talks to end the U.S. war in the region. Tehran's foreign minister says the country's leadership would be open to diplomatic help to ease tensions, particularly from China. The talks between Iran and the U.S. are at a standstill due to the shaky ceasefire, with Iran still having a chokehold on travel through the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. and Chinese presidents have agreed that the strait needs to be reopened, but no budging yet. And people across the U.S. are hopeful for an experimental drug that showed very promising results that would give pancreatic cancer patients more time. It's not approved yet, but Dr. Brandon Huffman, a medical oncologist in Boston, helped carry out the clinical trial. He says the one-day pill actually shrinks cancer cells. U.S. doctors can now use the drug to help eligible patients after the Food and Drug Administration granted it expanded access earlier this month. So hopefully it will be approved in Canada soon enough. That is your news to 8:47.
Thank you, Lisa. Dallas with the Vic Food Guys is here. We're going to get into our Friday food vibes in just a moment. But first, traffic and weather. If you see a problem out there, text me at 71010. But right now, the roads are clear. It's the weather that's exciting. That's next.
Experience Harry Styles live in London, England at Wembley Stadium. This is Harry Styles. iHeartRadio wants to send you and a mate across the pond with flights from Virgin Atlantic, hotel from tripcentral.ca, tickets, and $1,000 cash. Here we go now. Download the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to this station for 10 minutes. Enter to win. Every day is another chance to see Harry Styles. Very excited to see you at the show. Kiss All the Time, disco occasionally, available now.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. They've got a fresh selection of easy, entertaining party trays available. Order them online, by the phone, in store, however you want to do it for your next event or family gathering. Over to the CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Continues to be lighter than usual volume delays from the West Shore into Victoria, or really just everywhere. It's a Pro D day for a number of the local school districts. We've got the Friday before a long weekend. Things are pretty calm on the roads. The weather's not calm. Got a few showers, wind, a risk of a thunderstorm this afternoon. That's happening. Highs of 12, so it's the coolest day we've seen in a little while. That risk of a thunderstorm continues into the evening hours, lows down to 8 degrees, and then tomorrow it clears up. Still a little blustery at times, but we're starting to turn into a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. Highs of 14. Sunday, sunshine, highs of 17. And then for Victoria Day Monday, it's clearing up with a mix of sun and cloud and highs of 17 degrees. Right now, it is at the Victoria International Airport, 9 degrees.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
All right, Lisa, I am so excited as always on a Friday to get hungry and do a little bit of this.
Oh, eat it. Just eat it. Come on then, let's go.
Friday food vibes.
You ever think about what we put into our mouths?
All the time.
You are cooking.
On CFAX 1070.
Whew, okay, Dallas from the Vic Food Guys in studio. How are you doing, Dallas?
I'm doing great. Being live in person, HD audio, this is a whole different vibe. I want to be here every day.
We always get you on the phone. I mean, you got to work.
Careful what you wish for, Dallas.
You got other things.
I would love to be here. Yeah. Imagine the stuff I would say.
Yes, we do.
That's why we love you. And I know that some of the stuff you're going to say today is things that you might want to try, things you might want to eat, restaurants you might want to go to as we head into this Victoria Day long weekend. So what are we taking a look at today?
Yeah, so the first spot I want to highlight is I went here on Tuesday with my buddy Carson, and it is like I said, the definition of a hidden gem. This is a place where you're going to go. The one thing I will say before we talk about this is if you go, you just want to go and relax. Don't be in a rush. Just go and chill out. You know, Calista's making all the food on her own. This one person, so you got to take your time. But it's the most impressive Chinese food that I've had in the city, to be honest.
Really? Okay, so Chinese food, it's called, what's it called?
It's called March.
March. So it's and it's new.
Yeah, it's not brand new, no.
Oh, really?
No, it's been around, but this is the thing. Nobody talks about it. So the way that Calista sort of describes this is it's a Chinese kitchen reinterpreting traditional Cantonese flavors through a contemporary lens. And it's on Langley Street downtown, so just off Broughton. But absolutely everything is made from scratch. And when we went in on Tuesday, she let us try the dim sum, which was just out of this world, like everything handmade. It's just a different experience. The dim sum happens on Fridays and Sundays starting at 12:30. If you are going to go to that, I would highly advise, if you're going to go here, period, actually, I'd highly advise you make a reservation because it's such a small spot that there's not many seats. So make a reservation, but dim sum Friday and Sundays at 12:30. She does an a la carte menu at night, but just if you want to experience stuff you're not going to find anywhere in the city. As far as Chinese food goes, this is the spot. Really, really special, and Calista is someone that you want to support. She was just a gem. So, just an amazing spot. Yeah.
Dallas, what makes good dim sum in your mind?
I think so the thing I noticed about going here is the textures are a bit different. Like things were a bit smoother. It was noticeable, and so this actually features handmade soup dumplings. Which
soup dumplings?
I don't know of any other place in the city doing that.
No,
I had them at Crystal Mall in Burnaby. I've had it there at one of the vendors of the thing, and once you have those, it's like, oh, you understand. There's like this whole other thing that you just were not aware of, and she's doing those with the dim sum. So it's again something different you can try. It's an experience you have to have.
Labor intensive.
And that's the reason why I think a lot of people don't do it. Yeah, yeah.
And it's so funny that this is like a place that I think is new to me because I've never heard of it, but it's been there. It's called March. You said it's Langley off Broughton Street.
Yeah.
Sort of a different interpretation of some traditional Cantonese, specifically Chinese food. That's really cool. Okay.
Yeah. Make a reservation though, and when you go, just chill and relax. It's a place you want to be.
What else you got for us, Dallas?
So a little shout out to Mike at the Drake. The Drake today through Monday is doing a little thing with Four Winds Brewing, where they're going to have a dozen of Four Winds Brewing of their beers, and they're going to be pairing them with tacos. So just a nice little fun yearly thing that they do at the Drake that's happening downtown. For anybody that doesn't know, the Drake is like, it's just an institution. Like it's one of those pillars of the hospitality scene of Victoria, I would say. So that's happening today through Monday. And then another spot that I went to, this one I went to last week. Today's their 1 year anniversary, so they're 20% off.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a hot tip today only, 20% off at this location.
Yeah, it's called Marhaba. And so it's Indian and Arabic cuisine. So it's sort of, you can get both. When I went, I got the lamb mendi, which, I didn't know we could get that in the city. Again, stuff I didn't know we could get. I'd never had it. I'd had the chicken mendi at Wrap and Roll at one point that Mo had made, but my buddy got the goat curry, which he loved. All the meat is halal. They do a buffet on the weekend, but the portion size, actually, I got to comment on that too. The portion size on this thing, I did a 21-hour fast after I ate my meal. So
this is so much food you will not eat again for at least a day.
So I had the lamb mendi.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got the cheese and garlic naan, and then I went for a little fast after that. But unbelievable food. Again, a spot that I don't hear anybody talk about, but 20% off today. How can you go wrong?
I like that. This is kind of a theme to today. It's not necessarily brand new things. It's just here are a bunch of hidden gems that maybe you haven't heard of, maybe you haven't tried, but they're there and they're doing their thing and they're worth checking out. I guess this is kind of the theme today.
Yeah, 100%. And then the next thing I want to give a shout out to, there's an Afro-Cuban cooking workshop happening on May 30th from 11 to 1 p.m. And so what it is doing, the way this is being described, is together we'll explore stories, techniques, and cultural roots behind two iconic Cuban dishes. And those two dishes are ropa vieja and congri.
I would never take this on. I would never be brave enough to do this on my own. So having something like this and just so far flung is fantastic.
Yeah, and this one is going to be super, super cool. It is free to get into, but there is a donation option. So if you want to donate, you can support my friends at EA Creative. and I would highly recommend supporting them. But this is a workshop where you're going to go, you're going to be able to learn about the culture, learn about these dishes, hear some stories, and have a really good time. It's happening at the Cook Street Village Activity Center. I have a link to that up right now on Instagram at Vic Food Guys in my stories. So you can find the link there to sign up for this thing. It's going to be really, really cool.
Hey, I've got a quick look at the text inbox here. We got a couple questions coming in. First off, texter at 71010 says, so what was the 20% off thing again? What was that?
That's called Marhaba.
Okay. So
yeah, Marhaba. It's on Gorge. It used to be Wings down off Harriet.
Yeah.
Down,
okay.
Down at the bottom of the hill there or whatever.
Right. The thing that used to be Wings. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right on that corner off the Gorge there. It's called Marhaba.
Okay. And then another text at 71010. Why have the Vic Food Guys not tried or talked about Murder Burger in James Bay in the old Floyd's Diner location? Well, texter, this is a great question, but you have actually brought in the folks from Murder Burger, and we've interviewed them on CFAX before, so we've certainly given them a shout out before.
Yeah, and so it's available online. You can hear that segment actually with Jody. You'll be able to hear that. But we did a full 20-minute segment with them.
Yeah, it was great. But but that is a good shout out, by the way, texter, for Murder Burger. Kind of a cool thing to try out. The name is a little inflammatory, but the burgers are good.
Yeah, they have lots of milkshakes, so I got to go in and try the milkshakes. I'm going to be going in there soon, I would say.
Okay, well, you can give us a full milkshake review. But we're right out of time, Dallas. We'll just have to do this again next week with more great things to eat around the city. Thank you so much for coming in.
For sure. Thank you.
And as always, if you want to check out the things Dallas talked about, do go to his Instagram account. It's Vic Food Guys. And that's it for today. Lisa, you have lots of things to go eat now.
I'm starving, actually. But thank you for all the recommendations, especially heading into a long weekend. It comes in handy.
We'll leave it there. We'll see you on Tuesday. Well, actually, we'll be kind of with you on Monday for a special look back best of episode. So join us then on Monday here on the morning show and then back at it for the normal thing on Tuesday. See you then.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX